They play for 6 more weeks of playoffs. Good evening to you. This was the final night of the regular season for the state's high school football teams, and up at Carmel, the Greyhounds were trying to finish with a perfect record of 8-0 when the second-ranked team in Class 5A entertained a pretty darn good Ben Davis ball club. Ben Davis coach Dick Dullahan led Carmel to the state title 8 years ago. But tonight, Mike Grimm for the Greyhounds, a 10-yard run here, setting up a touchdown that would put Carmel on top of Ben Davis's Giants 12-7. Grimm gets the 6 right there from 5 yards out. And then Bill Padgett will throw this scoring strike to Eric Gunderson in the 4th quarter. Southpaw winds and fires 31-14, Carmel 8-0 on the regular season. At Plainfield, a very emotional night for the Quakers, ranked 7th in Class 4A.
As Casey Leffler on the draw with the night's only touchdown against Brebeuf. It's a 65-yarder and lets Cecina upset the Braves losers for the 2nd consecutive week, this time 6-2. Ron Colley's Tony Farrell made it look easy, hitting Mark Heisig in the end zone for 6, and it almost was that easy. 33-0, Ron Colley over Columbus North. Gonna have to save those 2 big ones for you for just a second. Package not ready. Let's go over to Arlington, where the Golden Knights, Thomas Mills and Chris Fallowfield were putting some heavy lumps on Manuel's James Pruitt, who makes it to the line of scrimmage. That's it. Arlington wins it 14-7. Well, Walter Murray, who's not exactly excited about cold weather, will get his pro debut with the Colts this weekend in Buffalo. Supposed to be about 55, so that's acceptable. Clark Kellogg has conquered his insurance problems and today was in uniform to tackle his knees rehabilitation step 2. He went on the road with the ball club. Good luck to the big one. Larry Bird got 28 tonight in the Celts win over Houston. These were not 2. That's right. Spectacular shot, but as they say in Miami, it no count. You can't shoot over the backboard. You can see the World Series tomorrow night at 7 here on WTHR. The Red Sox are going to find it extremely necessary to keep those 2 little guys, Dykstra and Backman, off the base paths.
Very important. Those guys are the spark plugs of their team, and they get on, they start trouble, and you know, it's going to be very important to keep them off the bases to stop any rallies.
Indiana's Hoosiers, where the Terre Haute Flash number 32 Tony Thompson has been progressing nicely Saturday, 30 yards in the ground and a touchdown. Minnesota counters with Darryl no relation Thompson.
He's really come on well for him, and I think he's given them a good boost there with their offensive running game.
Now, we'll see if the Hoosiers softened up Ohio State for Purdue. Ohio State, not the Buckeyes teams of the past, and can be beaten. Rod Woodson, a certain All-America, says he is ready.
We're going to be fired up to play Ohio State. Ohio State's a good football team, got a lot of talent. We have to play our best of our ability to beat Ohio State, so this week we're going to go out and practice and work hard and get a little better.
Not many better kickers around than Ball State's Johnny Dietrich. He had a breeze behind him on this record shot, but 62 yards still impressive. Paul Schudel's Cardinals have to stop Kent State's Pat Young.
He is, you know, very elusive. He is extremely quick. And we just have to contain him and not underestimate his ability to run the ball.
Now here's Lee Owens with those 2 big games. Lee?
It was homecoming at Carmel, and Greyhound running back Mike Grimm put on a show. This 5-yarder in the second half gave Carmel a 12-7 lead over Ben Davis. It was one of 3 touchdowns Grimm scored tonight. He ended with 114 yards, but he wasn't the entire show. Hang on to your seats as Eric Gunderson hauls in Bill Padgett's pass to make it 24-7. Mike Sharp added another, and Carmel wins big, 31-14. At Lawrence North, things started slow, but then Dwayne Stubbs got the home crowd on his feet when he broke this 56-yard run. Then, as quick as you could say touchdown, Scott Hammersley hit Bob Burton for one of his 3 touchdown passes for the night. Lawrence North beats Perry Meridian 21-7. I'm Lee Owens, News Center 13 Sports.
Watch for your favorite score now. Brownsburg kills Avon 50-0. Carmel's victory over Ben Davis. Then Jay County a victory over Belmont. And Cecina beats Brebeuf. Washington a winner over Ripple. Tipton by 1 over Western. On Colley's big victory from Columbus North, East Club Shelbyville, and Eastern Hancock over Knightstown only got a deuce there. Franklin Central beats Decatur Central, and Center Grove over Greenfield Central. Richmond a winner by a tray over Kokomo. We have Southeastern a victor tonight over Sheridan. That's a biggie. Indiana Deaf 34-6 over Edinburgh, and New Palestine clobbers Lapel. Lawrence Central by a tray from Pike. Northmont, its first undefeated season, beats Frankfurt. Lebanon shuts out Southmont, and Tipton over Alexandra. Monrovia over Cascade 41-9. Noblesville shuts out Mooresville. Mount Vernon likewise over Yorktown, and Lawrence North beats Perry Meridian, while Northwest takes Ritter 23-6. Marion a victory tonight over Muncie Central. Indian Creek big over South Decatur. Greenwood beats Speedway easily. Howe taking Tech. Greencastle a large winner over North Putt. Sean Larson gets the only TD as Danville upsets Tri-West. South Dearborn a winner over Connorsville. Logansport shutting out Anderson. Madison Grant a victor from Peru. Whiteland beating Beech Grove, shuts them out. Zionsville 47-27 over Clinton Prairie. And Manual loses to Arlington 14-7. Just a couple more things. Our Czechs win tonight in overtime over Fort Wayne 7-6. And Michael Andretti has the big speed today at Phoenix 162.
Here's Johnny.
Coach Lonzo for the boys tennis, Coach Capsalis for boys soccer, Coach Quillen for girls golf, Coach Lawrence for girls swimming, and all of those teams were excellent teams this fall. And then one feature guest we had was Bart Burrell, one of the former players for Carmel, and it all depends on who the guest is or how many listeners and things like that, but it varies on how many callers we get, and usually the callers have been very polite. They haven't mouthed off, and they've asked very good questions.
Well, that's Sports Spotlight for this week. Stay tuned for the pregame show with Jim Belden, and then the play-by-play action brought to you by John Griffin and special guest announcer Mr. Dale Graham as the Hound football team faces the Ben Davis Giants.
Our thanks go on to the following WHJ Carmel High School football coach, Mr. Jim Belden. Coach, tonight's the homecoming game, and last week the Greyhounds, we might want to step back a little bit and talk about last week's victory over Muncie North.
Well, John, it is homecoming week, but talking back to the Muncie North game, I think it really put us in a good position for our last game of the year, and perhaps in a position to play off. That was a great game for us, a great defensive start, and we just took advantage of all Muncie North turnovers and converted them into points early, and it's the kind of game that perhaps perhaps that we needed, some kind of little explosiveness that maybe been stored up in us a little bit. I'm not sure.
One thing about, you said that a lot of the turnovers were created. Defense this year, all year long, and I guess Muncie North was a good example, has come through with the big plays and turnovers to set the offense up. What great individual performances. I think back a couple weeks ago with John Daly, he had 3 interceptions and a fumble. They're just, the defense has played well all season long. Would you comment on that?
Well, defense, a good defense, there seems to be a new hero every week, or there seems to be somebody who comes up with turnovers who hasn't had turnovers in the past. And this week, I came up with a couple fumble recoveries, and Luke came up with 2 interceptions. And our linebackers are our leading tacklers. A lot of times, the ball never got to our linebackers. So, they have faith in each other, and they're playing well. And they're no different than any other good defense. They're vulnerable in certain situations, but they've showed the ability to bend sometimes and come back. But I think if you're going to be a quality ball club, then you have to play quality defense.
In Thursday's Indianapolis Star, there was an article about the top 20 recruits in the state of Indiana, and 5 of them were from Carmel High School. And it's interesting, though, that 4 of them play and start on defense. Matt Elliott goes both ways on offense and defense, and Jeff Lord plays a tight end on offense. But your 2 linebackers, Bo Belden and Mark Hagan, and Chris DeRosso, it's got to be a lot of pride for the whole program.
Well, it was a fine article. I'm not sure what scout they were talking about. Custer's got good scouts too, and I'm not sure that they're fine young men and fine ball players, but we all know that it takes a team effort, and it takes an offense and defense that's playing well together to make a quality ball club. And I'm sure that there's a lot of quality athletes in the state, and these are 5 of them that have the genetic prediction for being big-time ball. They're big enough and strong enough, and they begin to play pretty well. Those are rewarding, but I thought the article was rather presumptuous as far as the state tournament is concerned, whether that scout may be. I have an idea who it was, but we just know that we have to play good football from here out. These are our goals, and we just keep going.
One thing I'd like to also mention, maybe the players who aren't the big-time players with the Division I potential of those 5, but are players who've been steady performers all year for Carmel. Mike Grimm, the fullback, the leading rusher and scorer for the Greyhounds. The left side of the offensive line, of course, Matt Elliott, but also you run over the left side a lot, and that includes Chuck Andrews and Jason Brocky, the tight end, and also Jason Doubles is the punter for the Greyhounds, and he's punted excellent all season. The whole defensive secondary, which was once thought to be the weak point of the Greyhound defense, has turned out well in the performance as well. Do you think that with each player pushing each other to get better, that can only help the program, you'd believe?
Well, there's no question, John. We go into the last game with an opportunity to be an undefeated season, and obviously a quality team has to put itself in that position, and you don't do it with 5 athletes. You do it with a whole team, all the way from your sophomores to your seniors, and we have all our starters are playing to the best of their they're giving it 100%. They're working hard. There's a lot of pressure that's being put on because of the magnitude of having some athletes that are being recruited by the big time. And believe me, these kids are working hard, and they really don't. Sometimes they make mistakes, but they're really trying to put an effort in, and they are a quality team. They wouldn't be 7-0 or a conference champion already. But there are also there's a handful of other quality ball clubs around the state in every division that are going to be vying for the title when it comes tournament time, and I'm sure that there's going to be a lot of parity involved when you get to that tournament after the first 2 or 3 rounds.
How do you?
We'll be back with more pregame comments after this 60-second WHJ Booster timeout.
Our thanks go out to the following WHJ boosters: Joe and Joyce Rogers, Buster and Rose Roberts, Jim Ryan, Sharon Rosenberg, Pascal and Sandra Ross, Brian and Donna Ruark family, Bob and Nancy Rule, Vladimir and Margaret Saba, Judy Sachs, Tom and Susan Valentine, Carl Vicki Sampson. Dale E. and Pat Schenkel. Ted and Linda Schleigenhoff. And Laura Schneider. James J. Snyder, CPA, attorney. Bill and Pat Shop family. Ron and Kay Schumann. Bernard and Sheila Scott. Charles and Dorothy Scott. Tom and Evelyn Seeley. And Suzanne Serrano. If you want to be a WHJ booster, please send a check for $15 for your family, $25 for your business. The WHJ Booster Club, 520 East Main Street, Indiana, 46032.
Welcome back to our pregame show. We're talking now with head football coach of Ben Davis High, Dick Dullahan. Dick, your season thus far, you've got 2 on the year. Your feelings on your squad to this point?
Well, we're very pleased, Scott. We've come a long way, baby, as thing goes. We've got an excellent group of seniors, a group of kids that have been with us now for 3 years, and they've paid the price, spent the time in the weight room, and the hours have paid off to play an extremely difficult schedule, and we've had some very unfortunate and untimely injuries, losing 3 starters that were lost for the season. In fact, 2 anterior cruciate ligament tears to our first-team quarterback in the January, and then in the North Central game, we lost our best defensive lineman in Lynn Cross to an anterior cruciate ligament tear, and both those young men are facing 9-month rehabilitation. And then we lost our tailback who had 520 yards after 4 games in the first play of the game at the Dome with a cracked, literally a fractured knee, and had to have 2 screws put in it. He'll be out until January. So it's been a really unusual year injury standpoint, yet because of the team attitude and team character, they've held together very well, and they've responded real well to coaching, and I'm excited. It's actually been a lot of fun coaching this year.
Let's talk a little bit about your starting quarterback. You have come in with Chris Combs, who's a sophomore for you, good size, range for you, and really has done an excellent job.
Well, he's improved tremendously. He had a real shaky start and has had a difficult time adjusting to the offense and the demands on him. But to be honest with you, he's improved every game. He has done a better job in literally every game. He's a very good person. He's a class act, and he works very hard, and he tries very hard, and he does have a reasonable amount of talent, and his size helps him a great deal because he can see. He's 6'4.5", and he is the kind of guy who someday I think will be a fine quarterback. And we're just tickled to death that he's improved as he has.
In following the Giants this year, Dick, I've noticed that you've been able to, with Combs at quarterback, throw the ball consistently. At least it appears that way. You must have some good wide receivers.
Well, our young men are not extremely talented, but they are hardworking, and they are disciplined type of guys. They do the right thing most of the time, and many times that's what's necessary. Troy Unlin is one of our wideouts. He's a senior. He provides us with excellent leadership. And Scott McGowan's only a sophomore and very talented, and is learning and gaining confidence with each game. And Tom Waite is the other wideout. Probably the biggest surprise and the biggest improvement has been our tight end. And tight end is Doug Byers, and Doug was a fullback last year on a defensive end, and moved him to tight end this year, and he's really done a great job. He has excellent hands, and he can run with the ball after he catches it. So he's turned into a real fine receiver for us, and has come up with some very big plays throughout the year.
I think everybody thinks offense when they think about your ball club, but when you look at this game tonight against the Greyhounds, I think, in my mind at least, defense will be the key to the ball game.
There isn't any question. Really, we're dealing with 2 outstanding defenses. They've got a veteran defense comprised almost entirely of seniors, as do we. About 10 of our 11 starters are seniors. We're looking forward to a very physical game, and we've had a number of physical games up to this time. We feel like Carmel is definitely the strongest football team we've faced this year, and we're anticipating that our execution on offense will be extremely important. I think turnovers will be very important in the game. I think whether or not we can handle front as far as control the line of scrimmage, I'm not sure either club is going to be able to control the line of scrimmage. I think it's going to be a matter of hanging in there, and then seeing what happens.
But Dick, this is a Greyhound homecoming game, and I know there are a lot of fans here in Carmel that will wish you the best of luck, but I think starting after tonight.
Yeah, you're right. I understand that.
Well, thanks a lot for your time, Dick, and we do wish you the best of luck tonight and also in the playoffs coming up, and hopefully we'll see you again in about 3 weeks or so.
That would be delightful.
All right, Dick. Dick Delahan, head football coach of the Ben Davis Giants, on our pregame show, and we'll be back after this 60-second timeout.
Today's sports broadcast is being brought to you by the following WHJ boosters: William K. McGarvey, M.D., Tim and Jean McKinley, John and Sue McMullen, Steve and Jan McCracken, Joe and Ruth Ann McDonough, Randy and Anna Mitchell, Bill and Sharon Moore, Tom and Susie Moore, Robert and Shirley Muller, Bob and Jan Murphy, Tom and Kay, Laura and Dan, and Charlotte Nelson, the K.S. Nurkowitz family, Eileen and Jim O'Neill Sr., Paul and Eldora Osler, William T. Oviatt, Jim and Barb Patchett, Bill and Gail Paramore, Park Parts Incorporated, John and Carolyn Passanen. If you'd like to be a WHJ booster, send $15 for your family, $25 for your business to the WHJ Booster Club, 520 East Main Street, Carmel, Indiana, 46032. Your name will be added to our list.
Last week, the Carmel Greyhounds traveled to Muncie North to take on the Titans. Carmel needed an explosive game to put themselves for the playoffs, and Muncie North helped the Greyhounds by putting them off to a good start by throwing a pass in the hands of David Lewis for Carmel. And deep in Titan territory, Carmel decided to take command early.
Back to the second and goal from the 7 now for Carmel, as it looks left and right, calling the signals. Once again across the left side, Bruce forward, touchdown Greyhounds. On top, switched it up early here. 9:06 left to play at Muncie North. The Greyhounds have moved out in front.
The Hounds' defense was next, causing a fumble on Muncie North's next play from scrimmage.
Receivers split left and right this time. For Muncie North, backs in the formation. Option that puts back to back. The fumble for the Greyhounds have recovered. Now we're going to whistle a dead. We haven't seen this in the Greyhound ball. Greyhounds have ball on the fumble. 3 plays, 2 turnovers for Muncie North, and the Greyhounds once again get it in good field position.
The offense again wasted no time capitalizing on another Titans miscue.
Greyhounds backfield for Carmel. Quick snap. Grimm. The belly option. Patrick Keeson in. Touchdown Greyhounds. Once again a good play.
One possession later, Carmel kept rolling, and the route was on in Muncie.
Grimm across the right side. Moving straight ahead. Touchdown Greyhounds. Move out on top. Scoring their 5th touchdown.
Carmel went on to win 55-6 last week to capture the Olympic crown once more. Tonight, however, the Greyhounds face a stern test as the Ben Davis Giants and former CHS coach Dick Delahan come calling. It's homecoming tonight, and it's expected to be a clear and cool evening for the pageantry. Hello again, everybody. I'm John Griffin. Special guest on the air tonight, the play-by-play man, Carmel High School principal Dale Graham, is alongside me in the CHS press box, ready for tonight's action.
Greyhounds, WHJ is getting ready to bring you live Carmel High School football action. Now down the playing field, here's John Griffin and the Carmel Greyhounds on 91.3 The Edge for Sports.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Carmel High School. I'm John Griffin, and it's homecoming here tonight, and we have a perfect night for football. Alongside me in the press box tonight, as you heard me just mention, is Carmel High School principal Mr. Dale Graham to do the play-by-play, and Mr. Scott Gregg is here. Once again, we've been here quite a few times, and hopefully things will be all set tonight and ready to go. The fans are out on the field, the Carmel High School student body forming a tunnel underneath the Carmel home goal where they've got the sign hanging. The Greyhounds are ready to burst through. Playing Ben Davis tonight, I'd like to run through some starting lineups. The offense for Carmel are the same lineup we've seen all season. Starting at center, number 74, a senior, Andy Knapp, 6'2", 250 pounds. At left guard, Chuck Andrews, number 56, 6'1", 212 pounds, and also a senior. Matt Elliott, the left tackle, 6'3", 260 pounds, and another senior. At right guard, Mark Towner, 5'11", 237 pounds, a junior. At right tackle, Mark McDonough, 6 foot, 240 pounds, and a senior. At tight end, a big one, 6'4", 230 pounds, Jeff Lord, a senior. The split end starting tonight, number 87, 6'3", 170 pounds, senior, Frank Smith. And starting at the flanker position tonight, a senior, 5'9", 160 pounds, Jeff Kennelly. The quarterback tonight is a 6'1", 175-pound junior Bill Paget. The fullback, 6 foot, 205 pounds, and workhorse senior Mike Grimm. And the starting tailback is 5'8", 158-pound senior John Dillon. On the other side of the coin for Ben Davis, the visiting team tonight, with former Carmel High School football coach Dick Dillahan now being the man with the controls for Ben Davis. Starting for him, the center, Chuck Bear, 6'1", 255 pounds, and a junior. The left guard, 5'11", 175-pound Todd Wells, a senior. Ken Bates, 5'11", 185-pound left tackle, a junior. Greg Ransmus, 6 foot, 206 pounds, a senior at right guard. At right tackle, Steve Majors, 5'8", 178 pounds, a junior. Starting at split end, Scott McGowan, a 5'10", 158-pound sophomore. Starting at flanker, Tom Waits, 5'10", 153-pound junior. Starting at another tight end spot, 6 foot, 191-pound Doug Myers, a senior. The quarterback tonight, standing 6 foot 4 inches tall, 185 pounds, a sophomore, Chris Combs. The fullback, David Annie, 6 foot, 185 pounds, and a senior. And the starting tailback tonight for Ben Davis, 5'8", 177-pound sophomore, Thomas Adams. And well, Mr. Graham, turning it back over to you, it looks like a good night of football, and you've been in charge of a lot of festivities here so far this week. How do you think things have gone so far?
Things have been beautiful, really. We had a beautiful day today. It was a wonderful day for a parade. We had a tremendous bike race for the student body down here this morning, and here we are tonight. Big moon up there. Couldn't be a more beautiful setting, and of course right here beside me is my old sidekick, and Scott Gregg. Scott, it's nice to be with you again on the microphone, and what do you think about the festivities?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. Homecoming is one of the major events throughout a high school year, and this one at Carmel High School is one of the best. And let's go down to the field right now to Yancey Deering to try to capture some of that. If we can get with Yancey as the Greyhounds come in onto the field, through the tunnel of fans down on the field. Yancey?
Well, as you mentioned, Mr. Gray, thousands of students down here on the field, plus the band playing the same song. The parents just let off the balloons in the stands. It looks to be a great night. The field's nice and dry. It's a little cold, a little bit wet. Back to you guys out in the flash box.
All right, I hope you don't get crushed down there in the mayhem on the sideline that you come off, Yancey. But we'll be going to you throughout the game for some reports. Hey, we got to talk a little bit here. We're doing this as a special night tonight because, well, it was more than 10 years ago. It was back in 1974 or 5, I believe, was the last year. 74, I think, was the last year, where we had the old stands and had the old wooden platform up here, and you and I spent some wet, cold nights broadcasting high school football and following them around.
Yeah, we sure did, Scott. It was a little different situation than what we have here tonight. We're up here high and dry and with great equipment, and it's a lot different. But it's great to be back, and we saw something happen here tonight that takes us back a few years. For some reason, our student body had doing funnels where they bring the team out through this funnel, and tonight that's what's described down on the field like thousands of kids almost out there to bring the team on. It was really spirit at its best, I think.
Well, both teams are ready to go now. Ben Davis on the far sideline in their white travel uniforms with purple numbers and gray pants, with the Greyhounds in their traditional blue and gold at home, ready to go to start this match tonight between these two powerful 5A ball clubs in the week before the sectional tournament starts. And as they deploy down to our left will be Ben Davis, to the right will be the Greyhounds, who will be kicking off to open the ball game to the Ben Davis Giants. And going back for Ben Davis will be number 21, and that is David Brown. Or excuse me, number 21 for Ben Davis is David Brown. David Brown, a halfback for Ben Davis, and also going back for the Giants is Thomas Adams, number 23 on the far side. So Brown on the near side, Adams on the far side, and it will be for the Greyhounds John Dillon to kick it off. Down to our right as we're ready to go, and to call the play-by-play, here's Dale Graham.
Thank you, Scott. We have 12 minutes to go in the first period. We're ready. John Dillon is looking at the team. They're clapping it up out there, and the deep end once again ready for Ben Davis. The official has his hand in the air, and we're almost ready for this 1986 homecoming game. We have a full house on this side and more. The Carmel Wasteland down at the corner is jam-packed, and Ben Davis has brought a nice crowd. Coach Delahan said earlier when I talked to him that had we not had 3 key injuries, we'd have had a full house over there because we'd have had 2 undefeated teams playing. I believe he's right about that. Great. We're ready now. John Dillon approaches the ball. Hits it deep to the far side. It's going toward out of bounds. It's touched there at about the 6-yard line, and it's going to be the Ben Davis Giants ball at their own 6. We'll wait and see for sure where they place the ball. Now Carmel's defense will be Drosos, Ledoux, Gomer, Elliott, and Rasky across the front. Hagan and Belden will be the halfbacks. Kemper and Glaze, the cornerbacks, John Daly and David Lewis D. And we're ready. They say it at the 7-yard line. 1st and 10 for Ben Davis. Chris Coombs, their quarterback. Officials are now putting the ball in play. Number 9, Chris Coombs, barking signals. Man in motion coming to the near side. It's a pitch to the halfback the other side. He's stopped at the line of scrimmage by the right side of the Carmel line. And so far, it looks good for the Greyhounds. The kickoff was deep. It was touched by a man and fumbled out of bounds, so they had the ball first and 10 at the 7. They may have picked up a yard, making it 2nd and 9. The ball's on the 8-yard line.
It was a big break for the Greyhounds when the man slipped and fell out of bounds. Adams, the tailback, was deep to receive for Ben Davis that time on kickoff.
Coombs barking signals again, gives it, and the man's hit immediately at the line of scrimmage. David Ane, the fullback, the ball carrier, stopped at the center. Ledoux, Gomer, Elliott, Belden, and Hagan. Hagan, I think, gets credit for the tackle, and it's going to be 3rd down and 8, while still at the 8-yard line. Ben Davis is going from our left to our right. They have Cool Creek at their backs. They're going toward the hill, toward the school. Greyhounds have their backs to the south goal.
Greyhounds defense is doing an excellent job once again dominating the line of scrimmage thus far, and Ben Davis has some good-sized people on the line also.
Here comes a sweep to the near side. The man is hit at about the 9-yard or the 10-yard line, maybe the 11. Thomas Adams, the ball carrier. It's going to be 4th down, so not much game. Let's see where they've placed the ball.
John Daly made a great hit that time, you want to mention. It looked like he had some speed going to the outside, and John Daly came up and made a tenacious hit. The ball's resting just outside the Ben Davis 10-yard line, so they'll have to punt, and John Dillon has dropped back deep to receive for Carmel.
And the punter for Ben Davis is deep in his own end zone. Here's the snap back. It's a good snap. Kick is away. It's a good kick. Goes to Daly at about the 40. He's inside the 35. He's at the 30-yard line. It's going to be 1st and 10 for the Greyhounds at their own 30, perhaps 31, depending upon where the ball's spotted by the officials.
It was a short kick that time for Ben Davis, and Dillon was able to field it in Ben Davis territory. He's done a good job returning punts all year for Carmel, so hopefully the Greyhounds with good field position will get something started. 10:03 left to play in the first period, and there's no score.
From left split in, Frank Smith, Matt Elliott is the left tackle, Chuck Andrews the guard, Andy Nash the center, as quarterback Bill Paget is ready. There's a shift with the tight end Lord going to the far side in an unbalanced situation. Here's a draw play, handed to Dillon. Dillon's across the 25, into about the 23-yard line. Nice pickup of about 6-7 yards. 7 yards, perhaps. Should be about 2nd down and 3 at the 23.
A good draw play by Carmel that time. As you mentioned, Mr. Dan, there was a lot of motion on offense. Gunderson, the flanker, went in motion. Lord, the tight end, shifted once, and both the backs shifted a couple times. And the Greyhounds have done that more this year than they have in previous years, so it'll be interesting to see how much they continue to do it tonight.
Okay, Jeff Kennelly comes in at wide flanker. Hand off to Brim. Brim's across the 20. He'll be stopped there by the right defensive tackle. And linebacker, number 27, for Ben Davis, came up to make the stop. And that would be J.C. Sales. Greyhounds have made a first down, though, just inside the 20. We'll call it at the 19, first and 10. 8 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the first period on a beautiful homecoming night here at Carmel High School's field. Gunderson goes in motion to the right. Padgett hands to Grimm. Grimm's ahead for 5. He stopped at the 15-yard line, maybe the 16. Pick up at least 3. It'll be second down, 7 for the Greyhounds. The ball at the Ben Davis 17-yard line. John?
Well, there's a packed house tonight, as you mentioned earlier, on the Carmel side. It's more than a capacity crowd on the home side, and everybody's anxiously sitting down and waiting for the Greyhounds to explode. They haven't gotten too excited yet. As you mentioned, the student body did go out and bring back memories with the funnel on the field at the beginning of the game.
That was beautiful. This time Jeff Canelli is set. Now it's moving in motion to the left, to the near side of the field, as Padgett takes the snap, hands to Grimm again. Grimm fumbles the ball, and Ben Davis has recovered at the Carmel 15-yard line.
Well, that hurts the Greyhounds right there. They got the ball from a punt from Ben Davis in good field position in Ben Davis territory. Had a small drive going. They moved the ball for 2 first downs, and now they fumble it away. It'll be up to Ben Davis. If they can get a drive going, they'll really take a lot of emotion out of it on this, as we mentioned, capacity Carmel side crowd.
That was a golden opportunity missed by the Greyhounds. They had a great field position, had marched for the first down, and as if they were marching for a touchdown. Only to fumble the ball, and Chris Coombs, the quarterback, is ready to take the snap. He's back to throw. Throws deep. Has a man open. It's caught. It's caught. Completed pass out to the 48, 49-yard line. They're going to place the ball at the 50-yard line. Scott McGowan, the split ends the left side, caught that long pass from Chris Combs. The line of scrimmage was the 15, so they have a 35-yard completion from Combs to McGowan. First and 10 for the Giants, just on their side of the 50. And they're ready once again. Carmel defense looks at that high set with the flanker to this side. This time it's handed to the tailback. He's stopped after picking up about a yard across the 50 to the Carmel 49-yard line. Fullback, or tailback, Thomas Adams, the ball carrier, as Scott Gregg picked up that motion for me. Thank you very much, Scott.
Well, the one thing that I noticed and was just going to say before Combs threw that football is they had a little bit more breathing room, and we know Dick Gillahan, he likes to put the football in the air, and Chris Combs is capable of doing it, even though he is a sophomore.
All right, and he's back. He's going to throw again. He's being rushed, but he gets it away. Incomplete. Almost caught on the far side of the field. Great defense by number 2, Neil Glaze, as he knocked it down. Scott McGowan, the intended receiver.
That's one thing I'd like to say about this time is that the Giants are going to throw it. It'll be the first team they throw it a lot that the Greyhounds have seen. A team that's going to put the ball up a lot. The Greyhounds have a very good defense that's performed well all season, but they really haven't faced a team that's put the ball in the air a whole lot this season.
And looking ahead, not just tonight, I think that's good for our team to have to face a throwing, passing quarterback. We'll see. It'll be good for us. We've had Rodrigo a week from tonight here in the first round of the playoff. But tonight we've got to try to get Ben Davis here. He comes back to throw once again. Throws long. It's going to be intercepted out of bounds, and so it goes to an incomplete pass. It'll be 4th down and 9 for the Giants at the Carmel 49-yard line, and I'm sure there will be a confirmation.
I'll tell you, the equalizer to any good passer is a great pass rush. And Chris Hilbert was in there quick and chasing Combs all the way, where he just had to really throw it away, and I think he showed some maturity in throwing it out of bounds and not into the hands of any of the Greyhounds.
And a great job, as you said, Scott, by 6'2", 220-pound senior, number 97, Chris Gross. Here's the punt. It's a high punt. Fair catch called for by the Greyhounds at their 24-yard line. The nose of the ball just short as David Lewis accepted the punt from the Ben Davis Giants, and it's 1st and 10 Greyhounds, and not nearly as good a field position as they had before. But the important thing is they did hold the second drive of the Ben Davis Giants, and now the Greyhounds are going to put it in play for their second offensive series. Bill Padgett at quarterback, long count. Takes, hands off to Mike Grimm, number 30, Carmel's fullback. Gain not much, maybe half a yard. They're calling it second down and 9 on the official. And it looks as we look across the field as if he did pick up a yard. The sticks being moved ahead about a yard. Just over the 25 now. Carmel's at their own 25, going to the north, our left. We're looking a pro set to the right with a split in and a flanker back out that way. I formation. Bill Padgett ready. Takes, goes back to pass. Throws. Complete to Jeff Lord for a first down at the 40-yard line on a beautiful catch. Jeff Lord from sort of a tight end chair down and across. And he was hit beautifully by that left-handed quarterback of the Greyhounds, Bill Padgett. First down at the 40-yard line.
Jeff Lord's been the most effective receiver all season for the Greyhounds, a 6'4", 230-pound senior, 4.6 speed. He caught 2 touchdown passes 2 weeks ago against Jay County, and those were the only points the Greyhounds were able to put on the board. Interesting, it poured 2 weeks ago, and that was the original scheduling for homecoming. So we got a good, clear night tonight for homecoming.
Okay, this time we've got Eric Dennison out near side of the field. Padgett back to throw again. Finds Lord this side of the field. He's at the 50 and knocked out of bounds at about the Ben Davis 49-yard line. Beautiful pass. That's going to be a good for another first down. This time Lord came to our side of the field on the down and out, and it looked to me as if Gunderson cleared out the defense. Gunderson was the wideout on this side. He went deep. Lord was down and out. It was a beautiful pass, and Padgett to Lord for another first down.
The Greyhounds are giving Padgett more time to throw, too. That was a problem the offensive line had early in the season. Bill just didn't have much time.
Okay, Lord moving to the other side. Here goes Kennelly to the right side of the field in motion. Padgett pitches to Dillon, who's in there. Dillon's across the 48 down to the 47-yard line. It'll be a pickup of 3 yards. But it's going to be second down, 7 yards to go. The ball just short. I believe we haven't seen exactly where they spotted it yet. It's just short of the 45. We'll call it the 44-yard line of the Giants. 4 minutes, 48 seconds to go in the first period. No score. There goes Andy Knapp over the ball now. He's ready to snap it. Padgett's ready to take it. Waiting for the snap. Here, he's back. It's a fake. Once again, Lord catches another first down pass, spins loose. He's down inside the 30-yard line to about the 27-yard line. Another pass, Padgett to Lord. That's really working tonight. This time was to the right side.
Well, that's 3 completions. The first one for 14, the second one for 11, and this one for 17. So he completed 3 passes, 3 of 3 in the ball game for 42 yards.
All right, we have a new tailback in. Mike Sharp, number 20, just came into the game. And we remember Mike for a fantastic catch at 1 Central. And Padgett barking signals once again. The defense of Ben Davis jumping, but the Greyhounds line is holding. Here's a fake back. One deep going to Lord in the end zone, and it's going to be intercepted. However, there's a flag down, and so we'll see whether the interference was on number 5. That would be Mark Chmielewski of Ben Davis, or just exactly what did happen. The officials are conferring at the 15-yard line.
It looks like it's going to go against Ben Davis. The Greyhound players on the field are jumping up and down, but we haven't seen an official signal yet. You never know. They could call that offensive interference against Lord. The possibility. The Greyhounds like to throw on first down, lining up in the full house or 2 tight end set. That time they're in the power I formation, and quite a few times they've thrown on first down this season.
The referee is talking to big Matt Elliott of the Carmel Greyhounds, so I assume it's going to be an option here that the Greyhounds have. Greyhounds had it first down and 10 at the, what did I say, 28-yard line. It used to be that a pass interference like that was an automatic 15-yard penalty and first down. Now, I should be up on the rules, and it is pass interference against Ben Davis,
and it will be a first down.
I think in this situation,
it'll be half
the distance.
So it should be at about the 14-yard line, first down. That's exactly where he's placed the ball. The official placed it at the 14, and this is sort of like deja vu. We've been here before. second time. We were at first and 10 at the 15, I believe, before. And at any rate, it's first and 10 at the 14-yard line to Ben Davis. Carmel hands off to Grimm. Grimm's looks like he's across the 10-yard line. No flag. It's going to be second down and 5 for the first down. The nose of the ball just inside the 10, and we could very easily pick up the first down without scoring here.
I think the fans here on the Greyhound side are getting a little edgy. They all came to see a real good football game, and thus far there haven't been any points on the board. 3.5 minutes left to play in the first period. That's it.
Hands off once again to Grimm. Grimm straight ahead, didn't make a whole lot, maybe 2. He's down to about the 8-yard line. And with 3:13 to go, the clear out, we'll be able to see it a little better. We'll maybe inside the 9. We'll call it the 8-yard line, where it's going to be third down and 5, 4.5. Third and 5, we'll call it.
The Greyhounds are once again running Grimm across the left side. That's what they do a lot of times when they get near the goal line. That's what they want for the points.
And we've called a timeout. Bill Padgett went up, looked at the defense, called a timeout, and he's going to come back over and talk to the coach.
Now we'll take 60 seconds right now for this WHA booster timeout.
Today's sports broadcast is being brought to you by the following WHJE boosters: Mr. and Mrs. Stephen Alexander, Lowell R. Allen, Peter and Marilyn Anderson, Dick and Barb Anderson, Mrs. Gary Anderton, Tom and Yvonne Ardiolo, Robert and Donna Armstrong, Charles and Marcia Arthur, Vern and Sharon Atkins, B&L Packaging Incorporated, Jim and Elaine Babb family, Jack and Isla Badger, Vaughn and Jean Ballou, Jean and Tom Barnes, Bob and Ruth Batrial, Ron and Corla Beach family, Jim and Bev Belden, Homer Belts, Brad and Margaret Berger. If you'd like to be a WHJ booster, send $15 for your family, $25 for your business to the WHJ Booster Club, 520 East Main Street, Carmel, Indiana, 46032. And your name or your business's name will be added to the list.
There's a flag being thrown for an illegal procedure against the Greyhounds, and we hadn't even set. So this is going to be
Interesting to say the least.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because I had no idea. We'll see if we can pick up.
Yeah. We haven't seen what the signal is. They're just signaling towards the Greyhounds. I don't think they're going to mark off any yardage. No flag was the call. So the Greyhounds have the ball third and 5 from the Ben Davis 8-yard line.
And Padgett's ready. Third and 5 from the 8. Ready for the snap. Ready nap. Snaps. Fake handoff. Padgett's keeping. Pitches to Mike there to Sharp. Mike Sharp looks as if he's fumbled the ball on the far side of the field. We could not see that. Mike Sharp took the pitch out, then fumbled the ball at about the 4-yard line. And Ben Davis is going to take over once again on our second fumble.
That's another backbreaker for the Greyhounds, and the fans here have yet to get off their seats. Something Coach Belman talked about last night at the bonfire. You got to get the crowd into the game, and thus far, the Greyhounds have squandered 2 great opportunities deep in Ben Davis territory with fumbles. Grimm the first time, and this time Mike Sharp. So with 2:28 left to play in the first period, Carmel's going to have to try and, once again, the defense has got to come through.
I would say the nose of the ball is just over the 3, so we'll call it the Ben Davis 3-yard line. Ben Davis has it first and 97. But they're ready. Chuck Holmes, or rather Chris Holmes, hands off the far side. Number 7 off the Ben Davis Giants, Rick Lewis, a fullback, picked up a first down. Beautiful play to give the Giants a first down out across the 15-yard line. It's going to be first and 10. And they have it out to the 11-yard line, just across the 10. We'll say the 11-yard line. Chris Combs handed off to number 7, Rick Lewis, the fullback, for the first down.
Well, it was good, strong running by Lewis that time, and if David Lewis for Carmel hadn't gotten him down, he may have picked up 5 or 6 more.
Right yard, John, and Chris Combs is ready once again. In motion. Troy Undley comes this way. Number
number 23, the tailback, Thomas Adams, the ball carrier. He's picked up another 4. It's going to be 2nd and 6. The ball out to the 19-yard line.
Hagan and Kemper on the stop that time for Carmel. Defense, once again, is going to have to rise to the occasion because the offense squandered 2 opportunities. We're just winding down to the last minute of the first quarter. There's no score here. It's homecoming tonight at Carmel High School and a great night for football. John Griffin, Mr. Dale Graham, and Mr. Scott Craig here in the booth with you.
Chris Combs ready once again. Here comes Unland in motion once again. It goes the other way. Thrown for a loss by number 77, Mark Hagan.
He lost 4 yards that time, so good defensive play to bring up a 3rd and 9 situation. This time the ball resting on the Ben Davis 17-yard line, so hopefully the Greyhounds will be able to contain him this time. Good defensive play bringing up the 3rd and long situation.
It was McClurch who had picked up the first down, getting the Giants out of deep trouble at the 3. It's now 3rd down and 9 yards to go. The ball's at 17, 16, 17-yard line. Throw sent out to the right flank and thrown. Whistles blow. Delay of game by the Ben Davis Giants. Delay of game with 13 seconds to go in the first period. No score. The Giants will have 3rd down and 13, 14 yards to go for first down. This will put it back to the 13-yard line, let's say, where it's 3rd down and long.
I'll tell you, if the Greyhounds can hold them here, they'll get the ball back in pretty good position once again. So the offense twice has had the opportunity to score and may get a 3rd time with good field position.
Combs is ready, takes the snap. Pitch back. He was going to try to quick kick. He did quick kick, but it's a bad kick going out of bounds. And once again, they line it up. I see the official trying to say it's out here, and where are they marking it? I can't pick up the official on the far side. The Greyhounds are going to have it in great position when they do. David Arnay tried to quick kick. He got in trouble. Did get it away, but punted it only out to the 36, 37-yard line. The Greyhounds for the 3rd time are going on offense.
Chris Sorosos almost got a hold of Arnay that time and would have dropped him for a loss, but that would have only brought up a 4th down situation, so it was a good try for Ben Davis.
First down at the Ben Davis 36 by the Greyhounds as time is running out in the first period. Back to throw, running, still running, getting a block, still running. He's loose at the 40. He's down to the 21-yard line. That's quarterback Bill Patrick. He looked and looked and looked. His men were covered. He was open. He kept the ball, kept faking, kept running. Beautiful run from the 36 down to the 21. 15-yard pickup. At least 15-yard pickup by quarterback Bill Patrick.
All right, I think right now at the end of the, with 1 period behind us, we're going to try and take it down to Yancey Deering, our sideline commentator. Yancey, what's the story down on the sidelines after 1 period of play?
Here with the band right now, probably the most spirited organization at Carmel High School. Also have the opportunity to have the best seat in the house to see a defensive pass interference go against Ben Davis. What had happened was the Ben Davis guy kind of pushed Lauren right before he had to hold up and stop it, so it looked like a great play. The ref there caught it, gave the Greyhounds the ball later on, fumbled by the Hounds. Hounds now have the ball in good position. Take it back up to you guys up in the box.
Okay, it's 1st and goal for the Greyhounds at the 21-yard line. Now the Greyhounds are marching toward the school, toward the south, toward the scoreboard. Badger's ready. Long count. Pitches to Grimm. Grimm gets maybe a yard, not much more than that. That's Mike Grimm, number 36 feet, 205 pounds, senior fullback. And what's happened?
They sacked Padgett for a loss. I didn't see that either. I thought Grimm had the ball. David Arnay came in and knocked Padgett right on his can. The ball's placed down now at the Ben Davis 26-yard line. So it'll be a 2nd and 14 situation now for Carmel, who once again have the ball deep in the Giants' territory.
Well, the thinking was good enough to that at any rate, but it didn't get the Giants. 2nd down and long. 14, 15 yards to go. Looks like a draw. It's not. Screen pass out here. That's Grimm. Inside. Grimm, the ball carrier. He is down inside
line, where it's going to be third down and a long 6. Third and 6 at the 17-yard line for the Greyhounds. Number 80 for the Greyhounds is just come into the ball game. That's Jason Rocky, tight end.
That was the first time this season Grimm has caught a pass out of the backfield. The fullback gains a lot of yards. He gained over 120 yards last week. That's the first time he's been used as a receiver on the screen pass that time.
Carter's the tailback. Grimm's the fullback, and it's going to be delay against the Greyhounds.
Coach Belden is livid on the sidelines. He's stomping out up and down, yelling at his offense. And the Greyhound offense has squandered a couple opportunities. 10.5 minutes left to play in the first half, and there's no score. The Carmel Greyhounds have had the ball twice inside the Ben Davis 20 and have fumbled it away both times. Now the ball rests on the Ben Davis 22 with a 3rd and 11 on the 21-yard line. 3rd and 11 situation now for Carmel.
Great guard, John. Beautiful sight down here in the field. The Queen and the court, the Queen and her court down there. And we're ready to go play football once again. It's ready to take the snap at the 21. Takes the snap, goes back to throw. Throws. Incomplete. Defensive end for the Ben Davis Giants was that number 33, Ane, David Ane again. And the intended receiver was Jeff Lord.
Lord took a shot. He's still down on the ground. He's about at the Ben Davis 12. He's got his knees up and his back down on the ground. And when you can put Jeff Lord down on the field and make him relax to get a breather, you've really laid a hit into somebody, because Jeff's a big guy, standing 6'4", 230 pounds. Bill Paget isn't getting a whole lot of time to throw right now. This series, he's had guys in his face every time he drops back to pass. So that's going to be a big key for the Greyhounds, is to give Bill more time to throw.
And thankfully, Jeff Ward has gone to his feet and run to the sideline. Coaches are talking to him there. It's going to be 4th down, and it looks as if Dillon is going to attempt a field goal. Now, he'll have to place the ball at the 29, 39, and about, it'll be like a 39-yard field goal. We're ready. Here's the snap. Here's the kick. It's going to be short, hard to the left. And so the Greyhounds have score 10 minutes, 16 seconds remaining in the first half. There is no score at the homecoming game between the Greyhounds and the Giants.
Canelli was the holder that time, as he has been all season. And I don't know whether there was a problem setting the ball down or whether it was partially blocked. It was hard to tell. The ball just went, it didn't go very far. It went straight up, and as you mentioned, off to the left and bounced about the 5-yard line. Take for granted it was going to be about a 39-yard kick. But still, I know John Dillon has a lot more than that first than 25 yards or so.
You're listening to WHJE Carmel.
Much better than that.
So I don't know whether it was in the exchange or the hold or it was partially blocked, but something happened there.
Number 86, Troy Unwin. Far to the right. Hand off Adams. Adams is stopped at the 20-yard line, so it's not going to be much, if any, gain, as the Giants will have a 2nd down now and a long 9. He picked up half a yard, gained a yard. 2nd 9 at the 21-yard line. 0 by the Giants.
9:54 left to play in the first half, and as we've mentioned, this capacity crowd here at Carmel High School has basically been sitting down and hasn't had a whole lot to cheer about on this homecoming night.
Chris Combs back to throw. Look, being chased and dropped. Dropped by Chris Grossos, the man we mentioned earlier, 6'2", 220-pound senior defensive end, number 97. Dropped Chris Combs, the quarterback from Ben Davis, back on the 10-yard line, even inside the 10. So it's a loss of maybe 12 yards. 12-yard loss. Great job by Grossos. Combs didn't have a chance.
Chris Grossos was written up fairly well in the Indianapolis Star. I think it was Thursday. He and 4 other players for the Greyhounds as being Division I players and some of the top 20 players in the state as high school football players.
3rd down and 20. Here's a draw to Lewis. Rick Lewis might have picked up a yard or 2. He's now over the 10 and to the 11. It's going to be 4th down and still about 20 yards to go for Ben Davis. They'll be punting from about the goal line. And coming back deep is John Dillon, who's standing on his at midfield. Got these inside
at about the 48-yard line. Right to the snap, it's the snap. Here's the kick, comes out, the kind of floater. Dylan takes a fair catch, and it's going to be at the 39-yard line, where the Greyhounds will have it once more for the fourth time in great field position. Only 3 of the 4 times in tremendous field position.
Ben Davis has just done a tremendous, Carmel's done a great job containing Ben Davis defensively. The defense all year has played very well. Only 1 drive out of the 4 times Ben Davis has had it, and they moved the ball and picked up a couple first downs. But this is the 3rd time they've started in Ben Davis territory with drives and come away with no points. So the Greyhound offense has got to get rolling.
And Ben Davis does have a senior defensive team. Their best team is defensive. Hand off to Grimm. Grimm picks up 7 right across the line of scrimmage. Inside the 20 for the 35 to the 34-yard line. Let's get him 6, make it 2nd down and 4 for the Greyhounds at the Ben Davis 34-yard line.
You can hear the fans start to buzz a little bit more. You can hear them stomping their feet down in the student section. The guys with the blue bandanas are trying to get the parents a little bit more fired up, so hopefully the fans will be able to go crazy here in a little while.
In front of a full house on this side of the field, a full house box. And the Greyhounds are ready. Gunderson back to the right, handoff straight ahead. Grimm once again the ball carrier. Punches ahead for a couple. It's going to be at the, 37-yard line? 3rd and about 3.
Ben Davis is really hitting the Greyhounds today, the backs as they come to the line of scrimmage. Those guys are taking their hits, Grimm and Paget and Sharp and Dillon. And we saw Lord got knocked out just briefly. He's back into the game right now. He said just catch his wind back. But Ben Davis really laying into the Greyhounds here in the first half.
If you tuned in late, fans, or no scores, 7 minutes to go in the first half, the Greyhounds have the ball. Pitch back. That's going to be Mike Sharp carrying the ball. He does have a first down inside the 30. It's hard for us to see exactly where he was brought down, but it's, we'll say, the 27-yard line. And so, as I said, no score. Just under 6 minutes. Just under 7 minutes. 6 minutes, 50 seconds to go in the first period. The Greyhounds with 1st and 10 at the 27-yard line of the Ben Davis Giants. Back. Just ready. Now he takes the handoff. Goes left. Big chase. He's going to make yardage on the far side of the field. Close to first down yardage. I would say he probably did pick up the first down
at probably about the 17-yard line, and yes, I believe he did. He picked up just enough for the first down. Paget scrambling for 10 yards. He had an option that time. It was a play-action pass, and Frank Smith, the flanker, was flanked out to the left. He ran just a fly pattern into the end zone. He had the option if Smith was open to throw it to him, but also partly to clear it out for Paget to run, and he opted to run with it and picked up the first down.
We see Mark Brady in at wide receiver on this side now. Paget is at the far hash mark with the Greyhound. Mark Brady at this hash mark. Hand off to Grimm straight ahead. He's made 6 straight ahead, down to about the 12-yard line, where he stopped. But for 33, there's David Honday again, and Ben Davis.
He plays fullback on offense and linebacker on defense, and he's we've mentioned his name quite a few times on defense, just as well as carrying the ball. So he's playing all, he's giving it his all tonight.
I exaggerated just a little. It's a 4-yard pickup, so it's 2nd down and 6 for the Greyhounds. Here's a pass. Complete to Gunderson, inside the 5. About the 3-yard line. It's going to be 1st and goal for the Greyhounds. A beautiful slanted pass. Gunderson was flanked out to the right. He slanted in toward the middle. Paget up, hitting with that left hand, and a beautiful first down play.
Great reception that time. Mike Gunderson holding the ball after he took a lick that time, and as you mentioned, a great, good, quick toss by Paget straight over the middle. 1st and goal for the Greyhounds.
And we're in a full house backfield, and there's a quarterback sneak. That's going to be Paget. He's down to about the 1. Let's put the 1.5. It's really almost impossible for us to tell for sure, but it's 2nd and goal with 5 minutes to go in the first half. And it is close to the 1-yard line. We'll cross the 1-yard line. 2nd and goal with the 1 for the Greyhounds.
You can look for the Greyhound fans to explode because they've been sitting down, and right now they're starting to get on their feet. Helmets are raised on the Greyhound sideline.
Over the goal, Mike Grimm. Hand off to fullback Mike Grimm for the score. With 4 minutes, 54 seconds to go, the scoreboard is lit up and blinking. It's 6-0 Greyhound.
Mike Grimm across the right side this time, and fireworks are going off, sponsored by this time by Amco Transmissions, Dr. W. Bailey Davis, Elliott Williams Company, Philip N. Eskew Jr., McDonald's of Carmel, and Union State Bank. And the Greyhound finally put some points on the board that time with about a 40-yard drive.
Here's the kick. It ends up being a forward pass on a real mix-up. It was just a fumbled snap, I believe. Gatinelli did not get his handle on it, and so it's 6-0.
That's the second time so far that's happened in the game. One time on a 40-yard field goal. I think it was a problem with the hold by Kennelly and Dillon. Like he said that time, I'm pretty sure Kennelly just had problems getting the ball down, so that could come back to haunt the Greyhounds. They're only on top 6-0 as that was the first points put on the board. 4:54 left to play in the first half. Halftime promises to be a lot of special festivities. You might want to talk about those since you're going to be involved with them a little bit.
Well,
not just a little bit either.
I will be handed an envelope, which will tell me who the queen is, and I actually don't know yet. That's good, because I don't have to worry about it that way. But yes, we will indeed see the floats, find out who won the float competition. We'll crown the queen and see all the queens, or the queen and all the floats. And here's the kickoff after the touchdown. Bouncing on A, tried to get it, it's bouncing down at the 3, and the man's knee hit the ground at the about the 7 or 8 yard line.
Well, that's the second time that's happened to Ben Davis on the opening kickoff. They dropped it out of bounds at the 7, and this time the man was running straight up the middle, tried to make a cut as soon as he picked the ball up, and he fell at his own 8-yard line. Maybe the 7, so that's when Ben Davis will take over.
Okay, and that was Tom Adams. David Ane was there with Tom. Bounced away from Ane. Tom Adams picked it up, but as he picked and flipped, his knee hit the ground, so it's first and 10 for Ben Davis. They have the ball at their own 8-yard line. Once again, they're starting from deep, in their own territory. Hands off to Ane. Ane fighting hard, getting loose, out to just short of the 15-yard line on a nice zigzag run by Ane, and we'd better not let him get loose. We better keep a tight grip on him in the defense because he is shifty, and we know he's a great back.
I'll tell you, Thomas Adams doesn't want to be on those teams. That's twice now, deep in his own territory, that he made a mistake on the opening kickoff at the 7-yard line where he slipped out of bounds with it and hit on the 8-yard line.
Second down, 3 at 15. More Ben Davis. Boom! It's complete. Out across the 30-yard line. That fires the receiver, and they place the ball at the 38-39-yard line. Nice pass. Right over the middle. Tight end. That fires the receiver. 24-yard pickup. First and 10 for Ben Davis. They have plenty of time to score if they can beat this Carmel defense. 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes to go in the first half, and Carmel jumps offside. They call it encroachment now, but a big tackle jumped off, and it's going to be first down 5 now for the Giants at their own 44-yard line.
I tell you, that long pass that time complete the flyer, so that's the second time Ben Davis has thrown for 25 or 30 yards against Carmel. Both times it's been on sort of a quick count, and I don't think the defense has been totally ready for the play, let alone a long pass play.
And this first and 5 lets Ben Davis play around a little bit. Ane, the ball carry, slips and falls, and he's just short of the midfield. The official marks it down at the 48-yard line. Not quite enough for a first down, I think. Nope, they're saying it's short by a yard, so it's going to be second down and 1. And look out, this is made to order for a pass play. We'll see. We'll see if Delahan and his team gambles here or if they go for the first down. They're going for the first down, and they don't get it. Mark Hagan. Defense by Mark Hagan as he stopped Rick Lewis, the fullback. Threw him for a yard loss. It's going to be third down now and 2. A great defense
it seemed like one of them went in there untouched, stopped him for a loss of one, and you would have thought for sure that if they were going to go for the first down, they'd at least get it. They had to go about 6 inches, probably, not even a yard, probably only about 6 inches, and Greyhounds dropped him for a loss.
Okay, here we are ready. This is ready once again. Signals to his back. Looks back. Ready. Ready for the snap. Now they tackle Combs at the 40 for a loss of another 5, but flags are down now. I believe that this is going to be illegal procedure with their backs in motion against Ben Davis. In which case, I'm sure the Greyhounds, it is.
John Raffke dropped Combs back that time for the loss, bringing it back to a loss, I guess they're going to say, of 7 yards. What happened that time was Ben Davis read a blitz by the Greyhounds, and their backs, Arne and Adams, moved up trying to help. They knew it was going to be a pass play, but they moved up and helped block, and they didn't get set in time. But they read the blitz by the Greyhounds, but couldn't stop it.
Okay, here's the punter. Gets it away. It's a good punt this time. No fair catch. Knifing loose with the ball and down the sideline on a beautiful run. And out of bounds is John Dillon. He carries the ball into Ben Davis territory. He took it at about his 22-yard line, 23, and up the near sideline. Great wall set up. A nice wall set up with the block for him. And Dillon advanced it to the 34. No. 43-yard line. That was a 35-yard kick from the 40-yard line and a 32-yard return by John Dillon, so a net of 3 yards. Okay, first and 10 for the Greyhounds with a minute and a half to go in the first half. They're leading. We are 6-0 with time to score. Ready for the snap. Throws. Oh, just out of the zone intended for number 80, I believe Mark Brady. That's Jason Brocky, the second tight end in for the Greyhounds. Okay, Jason Brocky slipped at the 20. The ball was just a little underthrown.
Padgett didn't have much time to throw again, though. He rolled out to his right, and Brocky was wide open at about the 20, maybe the Ben Davis 18-yard line. Underthrew him, but he had 2 Ben Davis Giants all over, and one of them is down on the field right now. We're not sure which player it is for Ben Davis. The trainers and the coaches and the referees for Ben Davis are looking at him.
John, let's see if we can pick up Yancey down on the sidelines. And Yancey, can you get a feel for what's happening down on the sidelines during this ball game?
Well, the Greyhound team is extremely fired up. The electricity is just flowing from all the players. There were a few problems a little earlier. Jeff Daly, for instance, having a problem with his right shoulder, had a pain in it. Also, when Jeff Lord got hit, he just got hit in the chest and knocked the wind out of him. Pretty much the Greyhounds playing injury-free and safe.
It was a great homecoming festivities. The band and floats getting off to our left. The Ben Davis players still down on the field. We are still working on them. While they are, let's take 60 seconds for WHJE Booster timeout.
Today's broadcast is being brought to you by the following WHJE boosters: Bob and Sue Stein, Bob and Susan Stevens, June, Ron, and Ryan Stewart, Bill and Dorothy Stidham, Alan Roxana Stowell, Larry L. Strasburger, Dick and Carol Sullivan, Mr. and Mrs. Michael Sweeney, Wally and Patsy Taggart, Steve and Sharon Terry, the Village Cleaners, Bob and Doris Tile, Jim and Nancy Thomason, John and Joni Thompson, Mr. and Mrs. William Thompson, Roger Tingley family, Joe and Judy Tomlinson, Richard and Carolyn Towner, Keith and Myrna Trump, Douglas Sager, S. Tim Larry. If you'd like to be a WHJ booster, please send $50 for your family, $25 for your business to the WHJ Booster Club, 520 East Main Street, Carmel, Indiana, 46032. Your name or your business's name will be added to the list.
Carmel High School, I'm John Griffin. Alongside me in the booth is Carmel High School Principal Mr. Dale Graham, and Mr. Scott Craig is also alongside me. It's 6-0. The Greyhounds are on top in this homecoming contest. A minute 24 left to play in the first half. Mr. Gregg, could you tell us who that injured player was for Ben Davis?
Yeah, that was
the number.
Defensive end for the Ben Davis Giants, Mike King, a 5'11", 198-pound senior, and he's one of the quick players on that defensive end that's been causing
causing Bill Padgett some problems in the backfield. Center Andy Knapp is ready to snap the ball to Bill Padgett, the quarterback for the Greyhounds. Padgett fakes, and it's thrown for a loss by David Ane, who got Padgett for almost 10 yards, maybe 9 yards. Padgett didn't see him coming. Padgett wanted to just go on a naked reverse. He was going to pass and trying to pass. Left. Ane was on his back and threw him for a 9-yard loss. Third down and 19. Third down at the...
It is third, although the scoreboard says second. Now it says third. It's third and 19 for Carmel on their own 48-yard line.
Big loss for the Greyhounds. 44 seconds to go. The clock is going. Here's Padgett at the field. This time he's got number 3, Canale deep. He catches the ball for a first down inside the 20-yard line on a beautiful fly pattern down the near side of the field.
He did a great fake that time. Canale ran a chair. He was started out on the right side, ran into the right sideline. Canale pump fake, and the defensive back for Ben Davis was just left grabbing air. Canale was wide open. He underthrew Canale a little bit. He had to slow up, but Canale may have gone all the way on that reception. A big gainer for Carmel. I believe it was a 37-yard reception.
34-yard pickup, and the clock's running with 21 seconds to go. Padgett's ready to take the snap. Goes back to throw once again. Fakes. Has a man. Oh, it throws a man. That's Jeff Lloyd at the 5. Incomplete. Still 14 seconds to go and still time to score.
Bill Padgett once again was knocked down, though. He's still not getting a whole lot of time to throw. He got good protection on the pass through to Canale with the bump fake, but that time, as we've seen most of the night, even when Bill gets it away, he's knocked down, so he needs a little bit more time. 14 seconds left to play in the first half. Carmel clinging right now to a 6-0 lead. Stay with us, because at halftime, we probably have a lot of good festival.
Okay, Jeff Canale is back in the he set out that last play. He's going far to the far side of the field, and Mark Crady is far to the right side of the field. Padgett's in shotgun formation, ready to take the snap. That snap. Pitch forward to Dillon. Dillon flutes. Dillon close to the goal line. He's at the 4-yard line on a beautiful forward pitch. It's a forward pass, actually. You've seen it. You've seen the pros do it. You've seen the college teams do it where the quarterback looks as if he's running, just gives a little shovel forward. And it is a forward pass, and it's good for a first down and goal to go. The Greyhounds are called timeout with 7 seconds to go in the first half. A lead of 6-0. John Dillon hurt himself on that, too, as Bruce Gordon's out there bringing him off the field. And I can't quite tell whether it is a leg injury or a shoulder injury, but he definitely was hurt on the tackle down about the 4-yard line and is coming to the bench. He got what looked to be a scissors-type hit. And you know what that is. One high and one low, and he looked as if he was ready to score, and all of a sudden he was parallel to the ground and down. But it was a beautiful run by Dillon after he caught that shovel pass forward.
As you mentioned, the good thing about the shuttle pass is it is a pass. If it's dropped, it goes as an incomplete pass. Well, the Greyhounds have used it a couple times, but that's the most successful it's been so far this season. Picking up 11 yards, first and goal for Carmel from the Ben Davis 4.
All right, pass into the end zone, incomplete. Still 4 seconds to go. That intended receiver for the Greyhounds, Todd Carter, number 23. As I said, it was incomplete, so the Greyhounds are up once again. The ball is, there's another Carmel, no, here's a Ben Davis timeout. That'll work to the Greyhounds' favor. Dillon is hurt right now. He's the kicker, so the field goal, even though Matt Elliott is an excellent kicker, straightaway kicker, Jim Belton's got a big decision to make here in this 6-0 ball game. But Scott, I just noticed, Dillon is back on his feet. He's back on the field talking to Coach Belton and Coach Brendel and no, that's Padgett. Dillon, right. Dillon's sitting down here on a bench right now. Right you are.
He doesn't look to be too serious. He looks like he's just catching a breather.
Dr. Chuck Reed looked at him and didn't really look too long at him, so apparently it was nothing serious.
Sharp evidently is taking a blow also. Coach Pezzano and Bruce Gordon are taking a look at him. So, like I said earlier, Ben Davis is taking the shots at the Greyhounds, and Carmel stand for it. They're really getting hit tonight.
I'd look for Bill Padgett on some sort of a roll-out play. This
option to run or
run their pass, because this is going to be the last play of the first half, and I think the Greyhounds are going to take time out now. Okay, and
I was going to suggest that we play coach here. And you took the play right away from me, Scott. You did exactly what I think we should try to do now. We have 4 seconds to go in the half. We're ahead by 6. We have the ball at their 5-yard line. Time for only 1 play. Now we're going to try to kick a field goal. Who do we have to kick besides Dylan?
Well, Matt Elliott is an excellent straight-on kicker for the Greyhounds, the big 250-pound tackle, but he can get a foot into it. I don't think Coach Bell's going to go for that. He's out there talking to his offense. I still say that it's going to be some sort of an option play, but they're going to have to really take care of David Arnay. He's been the one that's been in the backfield and been breaking through. Everybody else has been pretty well blocked out, but Arnay coming to that linebacker slot has been the storm in the side of the Greyhounds. And we might even see some counter option play here where Bill would start one way and then come back the other way because of the aggressiveness that Arnay and the rest of the defense have shown on that option play.
We're going to find out here. We've got Carter at the tailback, Graham is at the fullback, Padgett is ready, takes the snap, pitches,
reverse to Kennelly, and he drops for a big loss. The ball pops loose on a fumble, picked up by Ben Davis. They're going to go all the way in for the score. The 10, the 5, touchdown for Ben Davis. Number 91, Mike Collison, I believe, picked up the fumble by Kennelly on the reverse. Goes in for the score to tie it at 6-0. No time left to play here in the first half. Unbelievable.
I'll say one thing. The Greyhounds now really do have their work cut out for us. That play into the first period, and it was going to be an option pitch, reverse, and it seemed to me that the wrong guy kept the ball. At any rate, he was tackled for a big loss and fumble, apparently before he hit the ground. That was Kennelly, and Ben Davis ran it all the way for a score of 85 yards, picked it up at the 15. Their ran it for 85 yards to the score with no time remaining in the first half. The score's tied. Ben Davis has a chance to go ahead by 1 or 2, depending on whether the kick or go for 2, and it wouldn't surprise me at all to go for 2. Let's see. They got an excellent kicker, so they have the 1 sewn up, but they may go for 2 in this particular case. The kicker is out there. That is Steve Cloud, a 5'8" senior, number 18, and it looks like they will be going for 1 as someone had called a timeout. Apparently the Greyhounds had called a timeout because we have had a long delay after that run of 85 yards by Mike Collison on the fumble, which happened late on that play, and they are going to kick it. So Cloud will try to put Ben Davis out ahead at halftime with the kick. All right, we're almost ready for the snap. Waiting and back. Here's the kick. It looks good. It is good. And so Ben Davis goes into the dressing room ahead of the Carmel Greyhounds here at homecoming, 7-6.
Well, it's been an interesting first half, to say the least. We're going to take it back to the station for a 60-second booster timeout, and we'll be back, and Mr. Graham will be manning all the festivities down on the field. It's homecoming, so stick with us. You're listening to the Voice of the Greyhound.
Today's sports broadcast is being brought to you by the following WHJ boosters: Brad and Margaret Berger, Jamie Burnt, Dr. and Mrs. Richard Bing, Gary and Wanda Blanton, Jim and Shirley Brake, William C. Brandt Jr. and family, Dr. and Mrs. Robert L. Bratton, Randall and Barbara Bright, Dr. and Mrs. Ron Britton, Ted and Dottie Broad, Jim and Marianne Brocky, Laura Lynette Brockman, Louise Brooks, Billy and Jean Brown, Norman and Del Buck, Terry and Bonnie Burdick, George and Ollie Burrow, Terry and Rosalind Katie, Stephen and Ann Cates, the Capri Restaurant and Lounge, Carmel Midas Muffler. If you'd like to be a WHJ booster, send $15 for your family, $25 for your business to the WHJ Booster Club, 520 East Main Street, Carmel, Indiana, 46032.
The homecoming festivities are about to get underway as the Greyhound homecoming crowd is stunned just before halftime by an 85-yard fumble recovery returned for a touchdown by Mike Collison of the Ben Davis. I Steve Cloud, making it 7-6. Ben Davis on top of the Carmel Greyhounds here at halftime, where the Greyhound band is going to perform for us, doing part of the routine that they hope will qualify them for the state tomorrow in competition down at Lawrence High School. We wish them the best of luck in that competition, as they have just looked outstanding under the direction of Dick Salcedo and Dave Coffey down on the field. And the Greyhound band now in their uniforms, lining up in front of us. We'll try to get some of that halftime for you. But it is going to be the Greyhound band doing their part of their show anyway. And then we'll have the procession of the floats and the queen candidates and the princesses and the cheerleaders and all the other festivities.
We see down in the end zone towards the Greyhound locker room all the convertibles. Most of them have their tops down. They're getting ready for the parade with the cheerleaders, and as you mentioned, the homecoming court all lined up. 2 sophomore girls, 2 junior girls, and 5 seniors in the court. One of the 5 will be crowned this year's queen. Last year's queen, Chrissy Cook, is on duties. Wasn't in the parade this afternoon. The front half on a down note for Greyhound, who, as you mentioned, was stunned. I mean, more than a capacity crowd on the home side, but bewildered. Still going to have a good show here at halftime. John, let's try to pick up some of the band for the performance here at halftime, and as they begin their routine down on the field, we'll see if we can pick up the Greyhound marching band just momentarily. Hopefully we'll be able to connect in with everyone. There we go. Now we're back here again. I can hear things again. Now let's see. Let's see if we can go upstairs and see if we can pick up some of the Greyhound halftime band show.
now. The halftime homecoming ceremonies are going to be coming on shortly. And let's go now as we pick up the halftime homecoming to Lee Longo, who is on the public address announcement system.
Welcome all to the 1986 Carmel High School homecoming festivities. This has been a great day of homecoming activities. There's been a track race, an intramural cross-country meet, a pep session, a parade, and a dinner to honor the senior football players and cheerleaders from the graduating class of 1976 who were introduced in pregame. Already, hundreds of alumni have signed up in the registration tent for Carmel High School alums. Our honored alums this year also include Howard Middleton, class of 1930, and Ray Meyer, class of 1919. At this time, we would like to call your attention to the floats, which are passing in front of the home stand. These are some of the best floats we've seen here in Carmel in years, and it is a credit to their class sponsors and to the students who put so many hours into their planning and construction. The first float is sponsored by the sophomore class of 89. The theme of this float is Cut Down the Giants. The second float is sponsored by the class of 88, the juniors. The theme of this float is Giants Are Dead Meat. Following the juniors are the thespians. And the next float is sponsored by the senior class, the class of 87. The float is entitled Purple Rain Down the Drain. The floats are judged by secret members of the Carmel High School staff and community during the day, and we have their results at this time. In third place, the juniors. In second place, the seniors. And in first place, the Carmel High School sophomores. Let's have a great hand for all these floats.
Well, as you can tell, the fans appreciative. Cut Down the Giants wins the float competition. A huge tree cut in half with a purple football player, at least the bottom half of him, hanging in the air, and a greyhound with an axe on his shoulder to cut down the Giants to win the competition.
In the next unit, we have our enthusiastic JV cheerleaders. The reserve cheerleaders this year include Jenny Crawford, Gina Crispino, Darcy Farnow, Amy Lipscomb, Helen Roberts, Julie Rothrock, Sharon Serrano, and Amy Skeen. Let's hear it for the JV cheerleaders.
The cheerleaders now getting out in front of us as the parade of cars comes down in front of the
next convertible, we have the great Greyhound varsity cheerleaders. This year's varsity squad includes Shannon Davidson, Adeline Martin, Lainey Michael, Julie Palmer, Katie Serrano, Marisa Standardi, Mary Jane Sweet, and Dawn Young. The varsity cheerleaders.
I'd like to remind everybody that Yancey Deeren is down on the field, and after the Queen is named...
For several years, the Carmel High School homecoming court has been composed of two young ladies representing the sophomore and junior classes.
After the Queen is named, we'll go to Yancey and see if we can get an interview after the pictures are taken down on the field with our 1986 Queen. Now here's the introduction of the court.
First, representing the class of 89, Stephanie Dalton, and her escort, Ron Higgins.
The student body president down on the field.
Greeting is also Christy Wheeler and her escort, Brett Wolf.
Greeting the various princesses as they get out of the beautiful convertibles down on the football field. John, I think you know who supplied most of these. You might comment on that if we get a chance here in between introductions.
class of '88, Sandy Hill and her escort, Chip Jones.
Quite a few of these convertibles. Most of them were donated by students' parents. They had, I think, 17 convertibles in the parade. They had problems getting a hold of them early, but then one day they rounded up 15. The Gutzos, I think, contributed 2 or 3.
Representing the junior class, Mary Jane Sweet and her escort, Jeff Rainbow.
The Millions, we have a daughter who's a sophomore at Carmel High School, donated one. Matt Wright and his family, senior, donated one. Our family donated one.
Crown, the 1986 homecoming queen. First, Karen Andrews and her escort, Tim Lyons.
Karen Andrews, one of the seniors in the running for Queen of 1986 homecoming. As John told you earlier, the princesses come 2 from each of the sophomore and junior classes, and then 5 candidates for Queen from seniors.
Shannon Davidson and her escort, Eric Baha.
Shannon Davidson now getting out of the convertible. It's a beautiful sight as the floats now return to their parking spot down to the left behind the end zone bleachers where the band sits. The band performing.
Our third senior, Pam Gregory, and her escort, Todd Murray.
You see a lot of convertibles. That's another thing you might want to mention. Or luxury convertibles, 2-seaters. Not too many of the big boats. You see, I think 3 big Impalas. But most of them are like Chryslers and Fords. So you see a lot of the smaller convertibles.
Serrano and her escort, Steve Mansberger.
Katie Serrano being introduced now as she steps out in a beautiful sequined gown down in front of us. Of course, everybody listening, you have an opportunity to see the festivities on CHTV Channel 29 Monday at 6 p.m. will be the replay, the video replay.
And our last senior, Melissa Standardi and her escort, Tony Collins.
Marisa Standardi now, having been introduced, and now last year's
Let's have a nice hand for these 9 beautiful young ladies.
Chrissy Cook now coming to the 50-yard line.
In our final car, let's have a wonderful welcome home to our 1985 homecoming queen, Chrissy Cook. And her escort, David Calhoun.
David Calhoun, former WHA staff member, escorting the beautiful Chrissy Cook. You see a lot of different styles of the dresses and a lot of different colors.
High school principal, Mr. Dale Graham.
And now here comes a big moment, the sealed envelope being opened down on the field.
Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, and it's my pleasure to announce who the Queen is. And truthfully, I haven't looked at this, so I don't know. '86 homecoming queen is Karen Andrews.
Karen Andrews, named the 1986 Carmel High School homecoming queen. Getting a hug from the 1985 queen, Chrissy Cook. Having the pictures taken down on the field. And now Ms. Graham going over to congratulate Karen Andrews, 1986 Carmel High School homecoming queen. Both teams are back out on the field as we are moments away from the second half. A minute showing on the scoreboard clock. And the band is going to have to get out of there pretty quick to get things going. As that has completed our halftime here, we'll be back with second half action in this 7-6 ball game with Ben Davis on top of the Carmel Greyhounds after this 60-second WHA booster timeout.
Today's broadcast is being brought to you by the following WHJE boosters: John Rennie, Twin Lakes Apartments, UN Printing Company, Upsilon Chapter of Alpha Delta Kappa Sorority, John Terrio Family, Steckley's Old House, Paul and Karen Vaughn, Bill and Lorna Wagner, Trudy John Wanchow, Haven Linda Warder, Mitch Waters, Steckley's Catering, Buzz and Mary Wisiger, TJ White, Mr. and Mrs. John P. Whiteman, Pat Company, Tom Winter and Family, Bud and Marilyn Wiskin, Hugh and Val Wolf, The Occasions Banquet Hall in Westfield, Larry and Carolyn Woodling, Dick and Barbara Yoho, Bob and Carolyn Yost, Indiana Music Company, the Robert and Carter Family, and SNH Screen Printing. If you'd like to have your name added to our booster list, send $15 for the family, $25 for your business to WHA Booster Club, 520 East Main Street, Carmel, Indiana, 46032.
All right, let's see if we can get Yancey Deering down on the sideline. He is scrambling, trying to find our queen. Yancey, go ahead.
I'm sitting here with our homecoming queen who's being embraced by the crowd. I'll have to wait a second to get to her. The Greyhounds just took the field. Were very spirited. Hearing some of the yells that they were talking to, were extremely fired up. I'll try to get a hold of Karen a little later on. Back up to the boxes.
You see Scott right there.
And John Griffin.
Okay, we'll see if we can get her a little bit later on as she is being greeted by many of her friends right along the sidelines. And we'll keep our eye on it, Nancy, to see if we can get a quick word or two from our 1986 queen as she goes down to the stands behind the end zone to our right. And at the first opportunity, we'll get a word in with our 1986 queen. Put together a great show with some pretty floats, pretty girls, and very nice cars. Once again, it was a great show. The Greyhounds will receive to begin period number 3. And back deep for the Greyhounds is David Lewis. He is flanked on one side by Mike Sharp and on the other side by John Daly. As getting ready to kick off for the Ben Davis Giants. And the Giants do kick off at the line drive that will bound around at about the 3-yard line. Going to have to be picked up right there by Daly. Daly takes it to the 3, to the 5, breaks outside to the 10, and no farther than that before he's brought down at the 10-yard line. Scott Daly thought that one was going to go into the end zone and into the grass. It stopped dead at about the 3-yard line. He had a trouble picking it up. Then when he did, he got it out to the 11, where the Greyhounds will start deep in their own territory.
With Daly and Carter back, and Sharp back to receive kicks, that shows you that John Dillon definitely got more than the wind knocked out of him, because ordinarily he's back to receive deep kicks also.
Now we'll keep Yancey busy the second half trying to find out what his situation is. Greyhounds in the odd formation. Grim and Dillon behind. Hand off to Grim right up the middle to about the 15-yard line. A gain of 4 on the play, maybe 5 as they mark it out at about the 16. Now they'll move it back, so it's a gain of 4 on the run by Mike Grimm. The ball now spotted, let's call it, at the 16-yard line, where it'll be second and a long 6 for the Greyhounds to break out of the huddle. And Dale Graham has moved back up here from the sidelines through the crowd, and we'll call this one, Dale, let you get organized and ready to go. Padgett takes into the line on the option around the left side, keeps it across the 20-yard line up to about the 24-yard line, where he's brought down very close to first down. And the Greyhounds may even have picked it up. They do pick up the first down. So it'll be first and 10 from the 24-yard line, and the Greyhounds have some breathing room after taking over on their own 11-yard line.
For Padgett, he's got to be careful, although he did a good job of cutting it back and picking up some yardage. You don't want to get your quarterback knocked out. Dillon's been knocked out. He's not back in the game. He's back in the game now, but he's been knocked out. Lord's been knocked out. Back to the play-by-play after he's gotten his breath. Carmel High School principal Dale Graham.
Thank you, John. Here's Bill Padgett, ready to take the snap. Looks to throw, does throw. It's up for grabs and incomplete on the far side of the field. The intended receiver, if we can pick him up, is number 84, Mark Crady. Mark Crady, incomplete. It's going to be second in. The Greyhounds have the ball on their own 24.
Crady did a good job as he was playing defensive back that time, because right for the interception that time for Ben Davis was Monty Hale dropping back that time, and Crady knocked the ball out of his hands, and that would have been picked off.
Right yard, John. It was kind of a floater of a pass and could have been picked off. Good point. Padgett's ready once more. Takes the snap. Handing off to his fullback. That's Mike Grimm. Mike Grimm has picked up 6 or 7 yards. He's the 30 out to about the 31-yard line. It's going to be third down and 3 yards to go. Perhaps a short 3, but we'll call it 3rd and 3 at the 31.
Mike Grimm on the night unofficially has 37 yards with 11 carries. So kind of a slow night for Mike Grimm.
Andy Knapp to center, over the ball, ready to snap. Both ends in tight. Paget fakes, looks deep, throws for Lord, overthrown just a little. Pretty good defense over there by Ben Davis's number 81, James Bellamy, and it's incomplete. Also back there was number 5, Matt Chmielewski for the Giants, and it brings up 4th down and 3 now for the Greyhounds.
Paget didn't see Todd Carter was running down the near sideline wide open, but he threw to his first receiver, Lord, and overthrew him, but he could have gone to Carter that time also, and Carter would have scored if he'd gotten the ball to him.
Punting, a flag is down. Punt the high punt. Fair catch called for by Chmielewski at his own 35, 36-yard line. We'll see what the flag is. It's going to be a procedure call against the Greyhounds. That's a 34-yard punt, the first punt of the ball game for the Greyhounds. Ben Davis is leading this game 7-6. They punted 6 times in the ball game. They have amounted only 70 yards total offense, and they're leading this ball game 7-6 because the fumble in the Greyhound backfield on the last play of the first half that was returned some 85 yards for a touchdown. And the Greyhounds are going to have to punt it over again.
That's pretty typical of the Greyhound season, actually, if you think back and look back at the games. The defense has done an excellent job. Carmel offense, for the most part, I think 4 times they've started drives in Ben Davis territory, but the offense has been sluggish. All season long, the offense has been hot and cold.
And we can score on those missed opportunities. Their pass, we're punting once again. Punts away. Once again, it's a really fine punt. And it looks to me as if the young man's knee hit the ground. That's on A as he goes around the other side. He's buried by the Greyhounds at the 32-yard line. His own 32.
Jason Blockey's punter for the Greyhounds got away a booming kick, and the coverage was great for the Greyhounds. Bo Bolden was one of the first in there for Carmel, along with Chris Herron in on the tackle. So then Davis will take over 1st and 10 for their first possession of the second half. The ball placed down on their own 32-yard line. When they opted to take the penalty, they actually lost 4 yards.
Great kick. It ended up being a 39-yard gain for the Greyhounds on that punt. But at any rate, here's Chris Combs ready to take the snap. He does. Looks, throws. It's incomplete. Intended for Scott McGowan on the far side of the field. Just a quick hitter. But at any rate, Chris underthrew Scott just a little bit. And it's incomplete. 2nd and 10. Really, Ben Davis ready, quick. Monet has a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. Chris Grossos, the defensive end we saw, and I think he had some help over there, but it's on the far side of the field and hard for us to see exactly. Flag is down, and we'll await the call. Ben Davis seems to be acting as if it's on us, on them. And it's a procedure call against Ben Davis. The Greyhounds are going to decline because it's going to go to 3rd down on a loss there back to the 28-yard line. So
it's a chilly night here. You can see the breath starting to come out of all the football players. You can attest to that. You've been down on the field. And I think it's a little slippery because a lot of players, when they try and stop, are losing their footing.
3rd and 13, we'll say. Combs back quickly to throw. Let's rush, get hit. And we saw Matt Elliott mop him up. He had some help, however, by Chris Grossos. Once again, the last man up over there. Great defense. Now it's 4th down and long yardage for Ben Davis. Ben Davis is punting from deep in their own territory. The punter standing at the 7-yard line, ready to accept the snap. That's Mike Cullison. Kick is away and takes a Carmel bounce, and the Greyhounds are going to have it for the
How many times? Third time this, second time this half. But in terms of the whole game before the fifth time, an excellent field position. Let's see where they place the ball. At the 37. At the 37-yard line. 15-yard punt that time. And this, the Greyhounds have got to take advantage of it. This is the fourth time that they've had it deep in Ben Davis territory to start a drive, and they haven't been able to score except one.
You're listening to WHJE Carmel.
Slows down, now picks it up. Hits back to Dillon. Dillon's tackled at the 35-yard line.
I think it was 2 that time for Dillon. It seems like he's okay. We were worried he got knocked out earlier in the contest, but I believe he's okay picking up 2 yards that time. 2nd and 8 now for Carmel. As both you and Mr. Greg have mentioned, Mr. Graham, the Greyhounds got to come out and not only move the ball, they almost have to score here because they're trailing right now 7-6, 8 minutes left to play in the third period.
Gunderson, out wide to the left. That's Eric Gunderson. Has it, hands to Grimm. Grimm straight ahead to the 30-yard line. Short of the first down. It's going to be 3rd down and 3. 3rd and 3, just short of the 30. Let's call it the 31-yard line. They need to get to about the 28. That was 3rd and a long 3 for the Greyhounds. 7.5 minutes to go in the 3rd period. Ben Davis is ahead of the Greyhounds 7-6. Padgett's ready. The deep back in the tailback formation is Dillon. There's a handoff to Grimm. Grimm straight ahead. He's got the first down and more as he goes inside the 20 down to the 16-yard line. It will be 1st and 10 for the Greyhounds at the 16-yard line. John?
A pickup of about 15 yards that time for Grimm. I was just going to say that last run before that where he picked up 5 yards was a very characteristic run of Mike Grimm where he runs straight ahead and works hard. This time he got a huge hole on a counter play off to the right side and burst his way forward for about 15 yards. 1st and 10. Greyhounds on the march.
We're going to have to give some credit to Andrews and Towner, the guards, and Elliott and McDonough, the tackles, for making some holes. Little mix-up in the backfield. Padgett has to keep it, tries to get outside. Does he get outside? Yes, he gets out of bounds. He springs up. Ben Davis kid's still down. This is it. And he's being attended to by the Carmel staff. I tell you, while we've got time, let's see if we can find Yancey Deering down on the sidelines. Yancey, if you're listening to us, come on with the report right now.
This is Yancey Deering. I'm sitting here with 1986 homecoming queen, Karen Andrews. Karen, first of all, congratulations. You look nice tonight. Exactly. How do you feel?
I feel marvelous.
You really look marvelous. Were you pretty shocked when you were announced queen? I understand your date for tomorrow's dance and also your escort tonight is Tim Lyons. Am I correct? Okay, good. Well, really, congratulations. Good luck throughout the year. Hopefully this is a beginning for a great senior year for you. Back to the booth with the guys.
All right, we've got it with 6 minutes, 50 seconds to go. With the 3rd period, Ben Davis Giants ahead for Greyhounds 7-6 in his homecoming game.
Mr. Graham, I have a question. Yancey said take it back up to the guys. How does it feel to be one of the guys in the booth again? You've been away for quite a few years, but on this homecoming, we're glad to have you back. How does it feel to be back in the booth?
Well, it feels great, and I'm not going to do it regularly because that's your job, but it does feel great, and I appreciate the opportunity to sort of come home again to the broadcast booth one more time.
Well, it's great to have you here, and you're doing a fine job.
Well, I only wish the Greyhounds were doing a little better, and they're going to try to do so right now. They have 2nd down and 9. Padgett gives to Grimm. Grimm gets good block on the other side. Grimm's a hard runner. He shakes down to about the 10-yard. No, inside the 10 to the 5.
He'll be just short of the first down, but excuse me, he may have picked it up. Yes, he did. It'll be a 1st and goal situation for Carmel. He hurdled over one man and a blocker. Good blocking on the left side. Another counter play this time to the left. A couple Ben Davis players are down on the ground. One has not gotten up yet. And so now it's Ben Davis who's taking a physical beating in the 2nd half, where it was Carmel who was getting all knocked around in the 1st half.
you mentioned those 5 Carmel players that appeared in the newspaper this week. It was, and our trainer, Bruce, said, you know, I'd hate to be in the opponent's locker room, in their training room on Saturday morning, because our boys are so big and physical, and they do hurt the opponents. And it's been obvious here tonight. We had a boy hurt, but he's one of our smaller boys, and we've seen numerous Ben Davis kids.
It looks like there's a Greyhound player also down.
That's Mike Grimm, who has not gotten up, but I think the injured player is lying on top of him where Mike cannot get up without moving the injured player. I think that's why Mike is still down, because they are attending to the Ben Davis player. Bruce Gordon has come off to the sideline, so Mike is all right out there, but he simply cannot get up because the injured Ben Davis player is lying on top of him.
This has been a very physical game, as we were just talking. You know, we've got an injured Ben Davis player down right now. Mike Grimm has just gotten up, and he's okay. He's fine. He goes back to the huddle. The Ben Davis player is still down indefinitely, and to say the least, in some pain. The Greyhounds seem like they got the short end of the stick when it came to injuries in the first half, and now it's Ben Davis. And we were talking about those 5 players. Let's comment briefly on the 5 players mentioned yesterday in the Indianapolis Star. One of them, the one who got the most press, was Chris DeRosos, a 6'2", 212-pound senior and defensive end, I believe, 220 pounds, excuse me. He's also the fastest man in the history of Carmel High School, running a 4.40. So he can look for some college football. Matt Elliott, standing 6'1", 260 pounds, doubling as a defensive tackle and offensive tackle. Mark Hagan, 6'4", 224 pounds, and a senior, also one of the linebackers. Alongside him, the coach's son, Bo Belden, 6'2", 222 pounds, and a senior. And those two are as fierce as any of them are going to come in the state when it comes to linebacking tandem. And Jeff Lord, the tight end, 6'4", 230 pounds, and a senior. So those are the 5 players you can look for Class A football.
Ball's in play. Diving for a touchdown is Mike Grimm, putting the Greyhounds ahead 12-7 with 6 minutes, 33 seconds to go in the third period.
Mike Grimm's carried the ball the last 3 times for the Greyhounds for 20 yards and the score. The Greyhounds have gone out on front again right now, 12-7. Hopefully they'll be able to convert, and the fans are back on their feet again at Carmel High School.
Well, that was a 6-play, 37-yard drive, and Mike Grimm had 35 out of the 37 yards. And what do you bet we go for 2? All right, as the fireworks go off to celebrate the touchdown, the Greyhounds are in a sort of modified full house. Quarterback Bill Padgett, ready for the snap. Motion this way. Padgett keeps, pitches. Nope, it's not going to go. It's going to remain 12-7 as the pitch came out this way to Mike Sharp, and Mike was simply wrapped up before he could really get a full head of steam. So with 6 minutes, 33 seconds to go in the third period, Greyhounds 12, the Ben Davis Giants 7.
Fireworks are going off here on a clear evening at Carmel High School. A cool evening, but a very clear evening. The sponsors of those fireworks are Amco Transmission, Dr. W. Bailey Davis, Elliott Williams Company, Philip N. Eskew Jr. M.D., McDonald's of Carmel, and Union State Bank. So the Greyhounds are leading 12-7, and Greyhounds twice have not been able to put the extra point across. That's crucial.
Yes, it is. Now, of course, a touchdown would put Ben Davis ahead were we not to score. But I'm sure the Greyhounds have something else in mind. And 12-7 sure beats 7-6. At any rate, it goes deep to Ben Davis. Ben Davis man shakes loose, has a clear sail down this side, but he's caught from behind.
Al Kozlowski made a tremendous play coming from behind that time.
Thomas Adams, the ball carrier, and John, who was the tackler?
Al Kozlowski, a senior for the Greyhounds, number 6, has done a good job on special teams all year, and he made maybe a touchdown-saving tackle that time for the Greyhounds.
Okay. Ben Davis Giants may have a good position at their own 46-yard line. Not much over the 45, but we'll call it the 46. Combs is ready. Hands off to his tailback. Hane, he's stopped at the line of scrimmage. Fumble. However, I think they've called the ball dead.
The officials aren't signaling anything, so I think they're going to call it down. But the Greyhounds, they wanted the ball.
There was a little influence there as the Greyhound team, of course, all pointed our way, and the officials said, no, young men, we've already whistled it dead.
And by the way, going back to that injury, Mark Shaleski was the Ben Davis player who was injured. He got up under his own power and went off the field. So that was good news for him after being down a long time.
That's good. That's good. And here we are, really tight backs up motion. There's a pass out here intended, knocked down. The intended receiver was number 1, Scott McGowan. But number 15, wasn't it? David Lewis?
David Lewis. The Greyhounds defense did an excellent job. They showed blitz with Belden and Hagan coming up, and as we saw before, once where the Giants were penalized for illegal procedure, their backs moved up for blocking protection. They threw long. Glaze was right on the man and had him covered, and Lewis went away to swat it away. So pretty exciting play there. A lot of motion and a good defensive play for Carmel.
We get a second. I'd like to try to describe that play a little more precisely, John. Good point. As Chris Combs is ready once again. He's back to throw. He's getting a rush, but he gets it away. It's almost intercepted, incomplete. Intended, once again, for Scott McGowan. How many times have we mentioned Scott McGowan? Several times. In fact, more than several. He's been the favorite target of Chris Combs.
You want to go back to that last ball?
What happened? The two backs set come up even almost inside the quarterback, just on either side of the quarterback, so that when the quarterback takes the snap, he's got the line plus 2 additional blockers there. The one thing it doesn't do is give them very many people, downfield. Okay, while we've been talking, the Giants had to punt to the Greyhounds. It was taken by Dillon, and Dillon advanced 10 yards to the 35-yard line. The Greyhounds have it at their own 35. Once again, the offense has it, as the defense has just been outstanding. Well, the defense can't be blamed for their touchdown because the offense gave up the touchdown to the Giants.
That's the 8th punt of the ball game for Ben Davis.
That's wonderful. You can't ask for more than that. Bill Paget, ready. This time, our number 80 for the Greyhounds, that's Jason Brocky, is in. John Dillon gets the call. Gains a little affinity. No gain. We'll call it no gain. The ball still at the 35-yard line of the Greyhounds. As Jeff Canelli goes in for Eric Gunderson, as Eric is out. Mike Sharp is in now at tailback.
Dillon comes off, and I believe he's really shaken up. He's moving around very slow, and he's taking some beating. 4:03 left to play in the third quarter. John Griffin, Dale Graham, Scott Craig with you. The Greyhounds on top, 12-7.
Bill Paget gives to Mike Sharp. Mike Sharp hits the line, still on his feet, gets loose. He's down the sideline, and he may go. There's a block. No flag. He's caught. The Sharp at the 15-yard line.
Super play that time and good individual effort. He could have quit along the right side trying to get around the right end, and he couldn't beat one man, and one man had an angle at him and caught up to him, but Mike Sharp runs it all the way down to the Ben Davis 14-yard line. So once again, the Greyhounds are knocking on the door.
47-yard gain after he was almost stopped for a 2-yard gain. And as you said, that Dillon has come out, and Dillon has been bashed around a lot tonight. And I swear, I was going to say that Mike Sharp can do a great job in there, and he did. Okay, here's the handoff to Grimm. We're in the full house backfield. Full house, for those of you who don't understand the terminology, is where the quarterback is in the regular T formation, and behind him in the old-fashioned style is a fullback right behind him, and 2 halfbacks, one on the left, one on the right. Both ends are in tight, so it's a tight T formation, and we call it the full house backfield. This time, not the full house, as Eric Gunderson goes far to the left. I formation. Mike Sharp, the tailback. The fullback is Grimm. The handoff is to Grimm. They fooled me. It looked as if the handoff to Grimm, and I believe they did.
He got to about the 4-yard line, just short of the first down. And it's going to be 3rd and 1 at the 6-yard line. That's a big play right here for the Greyhounds. Here goes into the Greyhound lineup, Carter, number 23, Todd Carter, a tailback, 6'1", 173-pound senior. Full house to Grimm once again. Grimm straight ahead, fighting, touchdown for Grimm. He fought all the way. All 6 yards were hard, but he went off his own right guard for the score with 2 minutes and 31 seconds to go in the 3rd period of this homecoming game. It's Carmel 18 and the Ben Davis Giants 7. Fighting was the key word, as we've seen from Mike Grimm all season long. That's the way he gets his yards. Unofficially on the night, he has 77. And as you mentioned, every one of them comes from a lot of individual effort. Mike Grimm, just a workhorse of a fullback. He usually doesn't run for one carry for a big gain. I think his longest gain on the season was like a 25-yard run. But Grimm always gets 5, 6, 7 yards almost every time he carries the ball, and that's the one thing the Greyhounds need out of him. Mark Lavatt, a junior for the Greyhounds, is going to go in and attempt the extra point conversion. Well, Mike Grimm had 11 touchdowns coming in. He picked up his 3rd of the night tonight, so he has 14 TDs. He had an outstanding night against Muncie North last week with 114 yards, his high for the season coming in, and he'll be very close to that after tonight's performance also. So Lavatt will do the extra point kicking. I'm a little surprised not to see Matt Elliott in there to do the extra point unless they feel that they need him on the line of scrimmage for blocking. That's probably the reason. Someone called in once on Sports Edge on Monday night and asked why they don't put Matt Elliott as fullback. Billman said the only reason I don't do that, Coach Billman, is because I'm afraid Matt will get hurt, and we need him too much. All right, Kennelly's going to hold. We're ready for the snap. Lavatt. And here's, I believe, Ben Davis in coaching. We'll have to see. This may change the strategy. It is. And you called it, Mr. Gregg. It looks like Bill Hassett and Todd Carter are ready to go back onto the field. And Mark Lavatt will probably trot off. And the circumstance will be is the ball, instead of being at the 3, it'll be at the 1.5-yard line. So we're 1.5 yards away from 2 points, and that's what's going to happen. Incidentally, I'd like to point out that I think Dylan not being ready to kick and having the substitute Lavatt cost us a timeout there after that touchdown. We're in the full house backfield at the 1.5-yard line. It's a handoff to Grimm. Grimm stopped. Does not make it. It's a fumble, but all to no avail. The score remains at 2 minutes, 31 seconds to go in the 3rd period, 18-7 Greyhounds. That's unfortunate because the Greyhounds had a big break. They would have gotten 2 points. Ordinarily, when you run for 2, the ball's placed down at the 5-yard line. This time, it was placed down at the 1.5 due to the penalty, and the Greyhounds blew the opportunity. So let's go down to Yancey Deering and see if he can give us an update on Dylan for the Carmel Greyhounds. Yancey?
Well, Mr. Gregg, I talked to trainer Bruce Gordon. He really couldn't give me anything on Dylan at the time. They said they wanted to keep kind of stabilized, let him get better here real quick. I'm sitting here in the student section C. Let's hear some noise, guys. The crowd's just as fired up as the football team. Back up to the booth.
All right, Yancey. Oh, that's a good report, Yancey, and it sounds like the students are fired up. And here's Matt Elliott booming it down to the far side, taken on the far side by number 21 of the Giants. That would be David Brown. He brings it outside the 25, out to close to the 30, maybe across the 30-yard line. Yes, it is. It'll be 1st and 10 for the Ben Davis Giants at their own 31. Tom Moore and Trent Decatur in on the stop that time for the Greyhounds. And Mr. Grigg, you were wondering where Matt Elliott was. I guess you were right. They need him. I guess the coach feels they need him too much in the line to block on extra points. Okay. Chris Holmes still at quarterback for the Giants. Young sophomore. Our defense moved, but we didn't encroach, I believe. It looked to me as if their right guard or center moved without snapping the ball. If that's the case, it's going to be procedure call, and it is indeed that as the officials mark it back 5. It's 1st and 15 now. The Giants back on their own 26-yard line. Well, I think this changes the
game plan of Dick Dullahan now, too, being down by 11 points. You've got to go to the air, and the Greyhounds are going to be sending those defensive linemen hard against the sophomore quarterback. And Kemper and Daly and Lewis and Glaze are going to be hard pressed. Number 23, that tailback, and it seems to me they've gone to Adams more. I don't know what the stats are, but it seems to me he has more carries than David Honey tonight. But at any rate, he does pick up about a yard. It's out to the 27-yard line. Second down and 14 yards to go for the Giants. That's their own 27-yard line. Minute and a half to go in the third period. 18-7. Greyhounds ahead. Here's that pitch forward to Ane. Ane's loose for a second. He picks up across the original line of scrimmage out to the 35-yard line, where it's going to be third down and 5 or 6.
Once again, Ben Davis, or not once again, but once again we see the shovel pass. Ben Davis that time lines up in a shotgun formation. The Greyhounds, that's what you want, is they had great pursuit and a great rush. Belden almost got a hand on the ball, and Chris Tarosos made a great job. He was all the way back into the backfield and stopped Ane after he picked up 7 yards, so he could have gone for more.
All right, here's Chris back again. Let's go. Ready to throw. Throws out here long. Almost intercepted by David Lewis. As he reached Scott McGowan there with, how do you like that defense, Scott? And, of course, Scott had to admire that kind of defense because David really almost intercepted the ball. Fourth down for the Giants. The ball at their own 35-yard line. We have 38 seconds to go in the third period, and the Greyhounds have come from behind with 2 third-quarter touchdowns, taking an 18-7 lead.
The coaches at the beginning of the season were a little discouraged with David Lewis, but in the last 4 weeks, he's played excellent. He had 2 interceptions last week and has broken up quite a few passes so far tonight.
Neil Glaze took the deep punt at his own 22, and ran it out to the 29-yard line where the Greyhounds are going to go first down once more. The Greyhounds now will try to grind it out and run that clock down. It's down to 13 seconds left in the third period of play. They probably will not even get a playoff here in the third quarter, as it's down to 7 seconds. And while they're changing sides, we'll take 60 seconds for this WHA booster timeout. To Syracuse so we can hear it. Okay, we got about 15 seconds here by my watch. Start of the fourth period, the Greyhounds leading 18-7. And Whitball with the first down. Bill Patchen, senior quarterback, ready. Long count. Finally takes it. Hands off to Grimm. Grimm's got the first down on a beautiful run of 12 yards across the 40, out to the 43-yard line, almost 44-yard line.
That's a typical Grimm run. If he can burst the line and get past the linebackers and he doesn't have to fight for it, he always seems to get to 12, 15 yards and then gets tripped up and usually gets undercut on the leg. I mean, you can see that happen a lot if you've been to a lot of Greyhound games. His legs get taken out from underneath him and he still gets the first down, but who knows how far he could go if he didn't get chopped out.
Mike Grimm is one of the toughest players on the field, in my opinion, and I think his teammates would say that's true too. Okay, we hand off to Grimm once again. He fights for yardage that wasn't even there. He got 2 or 3 yards and almost all on his own. The left side of the defensive line of the Giants was tough, but look, he picked up 4 yards, almost out to the 48-yard line.
Grimm on the night now has officially 94 yards, so he's going to probably go over the season high mark 114 he had last week.
Once again, grabs the ball there, he picks up the first down.
There's a flag tossed on the play, however. It's tossed in the middle of the pile. So I think we'll have to wait and see who it goes against. It may go against us.
It's a holding call. I saw the official call holding, and he signaled the number there that I'm sure the coaches saw. I couldn't read from here, but at any rate, it's going to cost us second and 5 at the 48, and back 10 yards at the 38, so it's going to be second and 15.
Let's go down to Yancey Denny now on the sidelines for WHJE and get a feel of what's happening down on the field. Yancey?
Kind of a break. Well, thanks a lot, John. I'm walking down my way to Mr. Mike Robertson, who's probably the best Carmel Greyhound football fan in the history of Carmel High School. Mike, how you doing tonight? Fine, how are you? I'm just doing great. Can you recall maybe within the last couple of years, maybe in the last football game that you missed on the road or at home?
It must have been 2 years ago against Muncie away because my father was ill and could not make it.
Well, that's probably a good excuse to miss a game. Mike, thanks a lot for coming out to every game for the interview. Down here with probably the greatest Carmel High School fan in history. This is Yancey Deering, back up to the booth.
While we were with Yancey, a 16-yard pass play from Padgett to Jeff Lord for a first down at the 45-yard line of the Ben Davis Giants.
Lord on the night has 4 receptions unofficially for 57 yards, and he has been the Greyhounds' big target all year.
Andy Knapp, Chuck Andrews, Mark Counter, Matt Elliott, Mark Madonna, Frank Smith, and Jeff Lord on the line as Padgett ready for the snap. Bill takes it. Hands off to his fullback. Mike Grimm fights hard. Finally, his whistle dead after picking up a very, very tough 2 yards to the 43-yard line of the Ben Davis Giants.
As you mentioned, it was a very tough 2 yards. There was nothing there, and he just kept driving forward, and his surge was able to pick up 2 yards. 7-8 now. The ball plays down at the Ben Davis 43. 10 minutes left to play in the ball game at this homecoming game. Carmel on top, 18-7. John Griffin, Carmel High School Principal Dale Grant, and Mr. Scott Gregg up here in the booth with you tonight.
Frank Smith back in at split in. He split to the other side, hand off to Grimm. And while Grimm only got a couple yards, I can almost predict for you fans at home, and we would agree here, I think, we're not going to see a lot of razzle-dazzle. We're going to try to grind it out. We may pass to get a first down or something like that. We've got the ball in Ben Davis territory at the 41-yard line. It's 3rd down and 7. 18-7 lead, so we're just not going to take too many chances from now on, I'd say.
You might see the Greyhounds go up out here with a 3rd and 6 situation, or you might see a draw play.
So Mike Sharp is the tailback. Mike Grimm is the fullback. It's a fake pitch to Sharp. Sharp's close to first down yardage. In fact, he's over first down yardage. Nice pitch as tailback Mike Sharp takes it across the 35, a first down for the Greyhounds at the 34-yard line. And to take nothing away from Dylan, who fought his heart out there, he was injured, and it shows what depth can do, because we can bring in Mike Sharp, he's fresh, and show him on that big long gainer down the sideline. Now we see another first down player on the near sideline.
Sharp's an excellent receiver, too. He's caught quite a few passes out of the backfield, and he's only a junior, so he's one of the few people that the Greyhounds will have coming back next year with experience.
Both ends are in tight. Eric Gunderson's the wide out to the far side of the field, but we hand off to Mike Grimm. Mike Grimm maybe gets a yard or 2. He just does so much on leg strength. He is tough.
Is that something you thought?
No, I didn't. As a matter of fact, I think to get some honest, his dad Lee's a very tough football player for the Bulldogs more years ago, and he'd like to admit that he's not the first grim young man who's played for us either.
But it's interesting you mentioned his father. We might want to say that tonight was senior night. They introduced all the players and the seniors and their parents tonight at the beginning of the game. I think we forgot to mention that in our broadcast.
Good point. Frank Smith goes in motion for the Greyhound. He's out there to block for Mike Sharp, and Mike Sharp gets close to first down yardage at the 25, perhaps the 26. We'll have to wait and see. It's not going to be a first down. It's going to be a 3rd and 1 at the, where's the ball? The 26. I've got Mike Grimm over 100 yards at somewhere around 110 yards with 24 or 25 carries on the night.
Here comes the Greyhounds breaking the huddle. They're in a full house backfield. Paget to Grimm. It's going to be for the first down. Timeout. Timeout to move the sticks as the Greyhounds have gained the first down. They're inside the 25, near the 24-yard line. 7 minutes, 19 seconds to go in this homecoming game with the Greyhounds ahead 18-7.
One thing we mentioned about Mike Grimm's leg strength, this is one of the biggest teams Carmel's ever had, and I think he contributed a lot of that to work in the weight room with Coach Bezavento. So I think he deserves a lot of congratulations, and so do the players for their efforts.
We had a little mix-up there. I'd like to comment on your comment there, John. The Greyhounds have sort of mixed things up in the backfield. No game's going to be second down and 10 when we come back, but you're right. John Pesavento does indeed deserve the title strength coach because the weight room is his baby.
There's rumors that he sleeps there at times, and I wouldn't doubt it, and it pays off, though. This is when Carmel now signals for a timeout on the field. 6:37 left to play in the game, an 18-7 lead.
And John, the Greyhounds took over at the start of the fourth period with this drive, so they've kept the ball 5.5 minutes. Mike Grimm, 25 carries, 117 yards in the ball game, and 3 touchdowns. So he has been the workhorse tonight for the Carmel Greyhounds. But like I said, they've kept the ball for 5.5 minutes, run 10 plays on this drive. Nothing spectacular, just hard running straight ahead by Mike Grimm and Mike Sharp, as the Greyhounds now will talk it over with Jim Belton going out to the center of the field. I'd like to remind everybody that the Greyhound cross-country team will have their sectional, the boys, that is, will have their sectional tomorrow at Pike High School. 11 a.m. will be the start of that. Mike Sharp has come out of the ball game, I see right now, on the sideline. I think he may have been winded on that last carry or hit pretty hard, as they're going to be attending to him now on the sideline.
Yeah, listen, the official, as a matter of fact, brought him over. It was hard to tell. He didn't want to come out, but I think he's got a bloody nose.
He's being attended to right now.
Let's see if Yancey Deering can give us an update right behind him. Down bench. Yancey, quickly.
Well, I'm looking at Mike Sharp. It looks just to be a bloody nose. On John Dillon, they say it's an upset stomach. We're not going to know until after the game when the doctors take another look at him. That was a quick report. Back up to the box.
And that's Bill Paget. Mike Grimm takes the handoff. The Ben Davis Giants defense leaks through this time and throws Mike Grimm for one of the few losses that he'll ever be thrown for. And let's see, that's going to make it third down. And the Greyhounds may indeed now, they may pass the ball here with 6 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the game.
You get 2 wideouts coming in there, and Crady and Gunderson, so apparently they will go to the air.
If not,
look for him to go to Lord, the big tight end, probably once again.
They at least are throwing the threat of it out there to possibly affect the defense. And back to throw. And throwing for Gunderson. Gunderson may go in. He does. He scores. Gunderson caught the ball at the 12 on a fine pass from Bill Paget and streaked down the sideline, and that'll make one history teacher of Carmel High School a very proud father.
And quite a good teacher, I want to add on that. Gunderson did a great job. He caught the ball at about the 12-yard line for Ben Davis, and it was just a foot race. He dove to the end zone. He hit the pylon in the corner, and we weren't sure at first, and then we saw the official raise his hand. 24-7, Carmel's on top. Fireworks are going off, courtesy of Amco Transmission, Dr. W. Bailey Davis, Elliott Williams Company, Philip N. Eskew Jr., M.D., McDonald's of Carmel, and Union State Bank. Right now, it looks like the Greyhounds are going to go for 2.
Yep, they're going to go for 2 once again. Formation, Gunderson flanked out to the left side, far left side. Paget, quick opener, overthrows, intended for the wideout on the right side. I'm trying to catch his number. That's number 84, Mark Brady. Is just simply overthrown, and Mark's a little unhappy because it looked as if Ben Davis Giant had his hand in his back. But
Coach Belvin was also pretty unhappy on the sideline.
It's incomplete nonetheless, and 24-7. I would consider that getting to be close to a safe lead with 5 minutes 47 seconds to go, and an entirely different second half for the Greyhounds. Well, they went 12 plays and 70 yards for that touchdown and turned off the clock. The 6 minutes and 13 seconds here in the fourth period of play. Exactly what they had to do.
The Greyhound fans are up and excited right now. Everyone's on their feet. The band's playing. The helmets are raised on the sidelines, and I think a safe lead is what you might call this now, considering everyone was pretty nervous after the last play of the first half, and they're going to the locker room trailing 7-6.
And unfortunately, an exodus on the far side of the field as the Ben Davis fans decide they've seen enough. Right up the middle, the Ben Davis receiver catches the ball, and he's stopped by Lewis. That was number 21, David Brown, the receiver. Looked to me to be David Lewis, who stopped him on the far side.
Lewis and Kozlowski, Elliott kicked off that time, so John Dillon must be done with his work for the evening. As Andy Deering told you, he had an upset stomach. And so it was Kozlowski and Lewis and Sarno in on the stop that time for Carmel.
Okay, the Giants have it first and 10 now. At 36-yard line, their own 36. And sophomore quarterback Chris Combs pitches back. That's, once again, Thomas Adams, the ball carrier. He gets the line of scrimmage perhaps 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, and he has a host of Carmel backwards on him getting up. I see Mark Hagan, and now we're helping him up. Old Belden down there at the bottom of that pile. Okay, Belden and Hagan and even Lewis, I think, got up in there from his defensive halfback position. Weak safety. Incidentally, now he's Vardy. But stopped at the line of scrimmage on a quick opener and gaining a yard. Once again, the Carmel defense, the whole right side of the line, stopped on Craig Ledoux, the defensive tackle. Big hand, John, wouldn't you say?
Oh, he got through the line of scrimmage, and it's interesting you point out now that Lewis and Daly, the two safeties, are dropping pretty far back off the line of scrimmage. They're dropping 10, maybe 12 to 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, protective of deep pass.
Flags are down, and the ball is incomplete. Chris Combs intended for his favorite receiver, number 1, Scott McGowan. Incomplete. Motion call, I would guess, against Ben Davis. I think somebody on the line was too anxious to get back in pass box for Chris Combs. It's 24. Go ahead. I was just going to say, they're talking right now to Mark Hagan or Bo Belden. It is a procedure call, and it will be declined because now to be 4 and long 5 for the Giants. And see if they'll go for it here. Down 24-7 with 4:06 left. They haven't really got anything to lose if they don't make it. That's right. The score would just be a little lighter. And as a matter of fact, they're not lining up in punt formation. Now, they might also shift to try to throw our defense off. We'll see. Nope. Combs takes it. Throws long. It's, almost intercepted by Lewis. But that might not have been a bad one to drop because he was intercepted on his own 40, and we're going to get the ball on their 45. So, but I'm sure he'd like to have tried to go down the far sideline for a touchdown. Nonetheless, first and 10 for the Greyhounds on that unsuccessful fourth down try by the Giants.
Chris DeRosos is doing an excellent job putting pressure on Chris Combs, the sophomore, tonight. DeRosos, with great strength and size and speed, is getting to Combs in a hurry. And also, one thing I'd like to comment on is kind of a disappointment is we're seeing a lot of Greyhound fans now start to move towards the exit. Hey, guys, it's homecoming. It's not over yet.
Pitch back to number 23, Carter. Carter stopped after picking up, giving 3 yards at least. And the Greyhounds are going to run the ball. They've got Carter in. I see Brock in. They've got some players. Pretty much the varsity in there, but we see some players who are beginning to feed in now who did not start the game. One of them is not the wideout on the far side of the field. That's Eric Gunnarsson once again. He's been in and out every play. And Grimm
once again, the ball carrier, and he made enough to offset that one loss, I think, that he had. And he's still well over 100 yards on the night, I'm sure. I think he's going to be, with that pickup, about 115 yards now, and somewhere close to 30 carries in the ball game. Okay, 3 minutes to go as now we're ticking away underneath 3 minutes. We're down to 2:53, and the clock is running as the Greyhounds come up the line of scrimmage. Bill Patchen, I would rate his performance tonight as good. He hands off the sharp and sharp. Makes a nice cut. And number 39 for the Giants, Doug Carty, who's a strong safety, missed Mike Sharp at the 30-yard line. Mike took it down inside the 25 and back down to the 21-yard line, where it's going to be 1st and 10 for the Greyhounds.
I unofficially have Mike Sharp for 85 yards. So if you've got Grimm for over 110 yards and Sharp for 85, that's almost 200 yards.
And that play started at the, what was it, the 21, the 22-yard line, so it's a 22-yard pickup and it's for Mike Sharp. Of the late Mel Sharp, who was an assistant principal at Carmel High School. And Brother Bob, very happy to get out right now. That's what you bet. I'm sure that Brother Bob and Mike's sisters are here watching the game, because I've seen it at not all of our games. We're going to try to kick one here now. They're at 30-7. And so Mark Lavat, kick looks good, perfect. And so it's now 31-7 with 2 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the ball game.
That's our first extra point up tonight. Lavat converts. The fans are up on their feet. They're cheering. They're finally satisfied with the Greyhound performance. We had the coachettes and the band for us just moments ago, and now the band continues to keep everybody fired up. Like I said, I'm still a little disappointed to see a few Greyhounds leave for their exit early. I mean, this is probably the biggest night of the year.
Well, it is the big night. It's been a big day. It's a big win. It means that the Carmel Greyhound football team has gone undefeated in the regular season, and that's got to be a banner year anytime accomplished that Ben Davis and Warren and North Central and so on. Well, that's right.
Another win the conference crown for the Greyhounds. So hopefully ready for the playoffs next week at home against Rutgers.
Ane receives this kick off the Greyhounds. It gets him in and he's put down at the 30-yard line.
A lot of new players and pieces going into the lineup now for the Greyhounds.
Unfortunately, we have a little extracurricular activity out there downfield that we didn't need. And I saw the official throw a flag. That's too bad. And I'm sure there was a little bit of unsportsmanlike conduct on the Greyhounds. And that's unfortunate. But I got a feeling that was the second person reacting. Oh, yeah, it was not. I saw our player involved, and there were 2 Ben Davis players there. So there were the 3 to tango in that case. And I think those 2 matched up to our 1 inside.
That'll give you an idea what this is like. Marking off the penalty right now, the ball will be placed down at the Ben Davis 44-yard line. 2 minutes and 2 seconds left to play. Carmel on top, 31-7.
Well, Greyhound fans are coming toward the end of this game with 2 minutes to go as Chris Holmes goes back to throw. I see a flag. It's going to be incomplete, almost intercepted by the Greyhounds. But the Giants, we'll wait and see. I started to say we're going to be right back here. I'm not going to be on this mic, but we'll be back up here in the press box.
You're welcome to come up anytime you'd like to stop and visit. I mean, don't get that feeling that you're not wanted.
I think the fans have really enjoyed it tonight, Dale. Well, I hope so. I certainly have. I started to say we'll all be up there doing one thing or another next week as we entertain the Broncos Ryan. I can't remember if we've ever played that football.
I don't believe so. We played on their field against Chitar in the 70s.
Yeah, and before that, I remember we played Arlington down there once when probably have some tie back, but I don't know what it would have been. It's an incomplete pass that's thrown by Chris Combs, stopping the clock with a minute 29 seconds to go, and really safely now out of the question for Ben Davis. I'm sure that Coach Callahan can take some pride in the fact that Giants were able to get at the deficit, and just didn't have not quite enough talent to beat the Greyhounds. There's a pass completed out this side to number 32, Doug Meyer, 691 pounds, tight end. He picks up about 8 yards. One thing I would like to say, they may not have the talent and stamina. They hurt the Greyhounds tonight. That is a very physical game. A lot of both players are going to be very sore tomorrow on both sides. Now, just Ben Davis. 3rd and 2 for the Giants at the Greyhounds 48. Combs moves his two backs up behind him against the quick jump pass to favorite target, Scott McGowan. He's picked up the first down on a pickup of about 7 yards, close to the 40-yard line. He's hit immediately, and haven't hit the first down. And the Giants haven't given. They're moving the football. They're on 40 with 59 seconds to go in the ball game. Clock running. Back to home. He's so short. Down the sideline. And out of bounds. Back out of bounds. Kozlowski got Doug Myers out. One thing I'd like to say is, although they're moving the ball, to take nothing away from these players, this is the second team defensive unit for the Greyhounds, and you can't give enough credit to the first defense for the Greyhounds tonight. They just put the pro, didn't allow any points, and kept the Giants in check all night. A minute to play in this game. Ben Davis with the first down. Chris Combs back to throw. He's got time. He throws incomplete. Was close to the line of scrimmage when he released the ball. However, he had not encroached on the line of scrimmage, so it's going to be second and 10. As the and Anthony Deering down on the sidelines. Let's hear it from you.
Down here on the sideline, they're dancing down here, they're dancing, singing twist and shout, having a great time. I think the football team's going to get trapped once it's over. After that, we hear the hands still shouting, the fans going nuts. The team is very happy. Back to the booth.
Well, Yancey don't let him trample the team. We have a team next week. First down at the Greyhounds 10-yard line. The receiver, 32, Doug Byers. Giants are trying to score here.
Except for this drive, which has been all through the air for Ben Davis. I had the Giants with -4 yards rushing in the second half. And that goes with only 12 yards in the first half. So a net of 8 yards rushing against the Greyhounds defense here tonight.
Yesterday at the bonfire that I mentioned once before, it was kind of a disappointing bonfire. It wasn't quite the spirit we were hoping for, what we've been used to this season at Carmel High School. Ben Davis has called a timeout right now, 37 seconds left. And tonight, the spirit was back, however. You wanted the final start of the game for the players. You got it, and now it looks like the entire student body is getting ready to charge the field after the victory.
Okay, this Combs is ready. Greyhound defense is ready. Combs stumbles momentarily. For the Doug Myers, the tight end, incomplete. About 25 seconds to go, and so with a second down, there's still plenty of time for the Giants to put the forward. I'm sure they'd like to do that. Greyhounds are just determined, I think, to try to keep from doing that. Puts his two backs up right beside him. Again, it's going to be a quick slant pass. It is to McGowan, close to the goal line. It's going to be first and goal at the 1.
Sarno did a good job. Matt Sarno, one of the senior defensive backs for the Greyhounds, to stop McGowan from going into the end zone. But basically, every time we've seen Ben Davis put their two backs up to help block and the Greyhounds are blitzing, it's been quick slants to McGowan.
That'll sure has. And for some years, pick that up up there, we see that over and over. And
most coaches will notice that too, because I think films. They work very hard on Saturdays and Sundays to watch film. There's always a chance we could run into Ben Davis again in the playoffs.
That's correct. And I'm sure some of the other scouts who are here might want to put that play in just to for their offense. And I know there are scouts here from Warren and other schools as we prepare for the playoffs. First and goal with the one, stop for a loss. There's Thomas Adams. So timeout has been called 12 seconds to go as Ben Davis hasn't called a timeout. They do.
I think that was linebacker Trent Decatur who was in there. He was the P. Harold were both in there on the stop for Carmel. The second team defensive unit goes down backing up, but they've got they're hungry. They want some action. So I'm going to 31-7 is the lead for Carmel.
That's glad you gave Trent and those guys credit because it is Coach Feldman has put a lot of reserves in there now. I see 71, 72, 94 numbers that we're not familiar with on the starting team. John Goff, David Moore. There's not a starter out there right now. That's really a credit, I think, to Coach Feldman that he reserve lineman in there. John?
Defensive line reads Keithley, Trent Gator, David Moore, J.D. Harrell, and I'm not sure the defensive backs, Matt Connor, Brent Passman, and Tom Moore. Linebackers are John Broad, Fred Gator.
Chris Cook rolls out and hits a receiver in the end zone for a touchdown. It's number 31. That's Joe Doyle. Joe Doyle for the touchdown with 9 seconds to go in the game. And so now it's 31-13 as Ben Davis has scored in the last second.
That was Doyle's first reception of the game. It's the first time we've called his name, so that Ben Davis pulls a little closer to Carmel, but they're going to fall far short.
He was wide open. It was a well-designed play. There were 3 receivers there. Get the snap, extra point is good, and 31-14. 31-14, and we'll probably see an onside kick by the Giants, I would think, as they try to get the ball once more.
You can believe the students probably they've been standing down on the sideline, not bothering any others. They're on the track. They're being very well behaved. You think they've been standing there in the cold for 10, maybe 15 minutes, waiting to charge the field. It's one credit I think I got to give Mr. Grant. A lot of people, I think, take for granted what happens at Carmel. You never see any fights in the school halls that contradictory to a lot of schools. I think a lot of schools, if you had a student body gathered on the sidelines of a football field, you might have some problems. But Mr. Graham running the show, everybody knows his boss.
That's right. That's one thing. The guys, the people at the bottom of our I just done one thing, and that was to get the kids to do a funnel before the game, and here are the kids down here, and they're ready to charge out here and recognize, reward their team for an undefeated season. And so, here's the kickoff. It's taken. There's going to be a flag as the receiver called for a goal. So the goal called for a fair catch and then got hit by Ben Davis, defense man. It's going to bring the ball out, I would think, to the 30, that's a 50, to the 30-yard line where the Greyhounds will put it in play. They haven't marched it off yet. I don't think they're going to. I think they picked up the flag. Or are they going to now? Now they are. Okay.
The Greyhounds still, I believe, have the first team offensive unit in there. I think it's a mixture. I see some fresh faces, but a lot of familiar names on the back of the jerseys also.
Yeah. We'll see when they break the huddle. In fact, we have a new quarterback here. It's on number 2 down there.
I see Frank Smith, however, he's still in the lineup. Now maybe he's coming off the field. So
Pete Harrington, the junior quarterback, 6'1", 168 pound, will take the snap.
Anderson and Smith are the only 2 starters still left in for the Greyhounds.
And Harrington falls on the ball. However, there's a flag stopping the clock with 6 seconds to go.
Students are getting a little edgy now. I see Mr. Gossard, the assistant athletic director, saying, "Come on, guys. I know this is going on, but you got to stay off the field."
We're having a little difficulty finishing this game, but we're going to make it, and it's going to be a victory for the Greyhounds. It's going to be 8-0 on the year. Just fantastic. clock's going to run out. 2-1-0, and the Greyhounds won this homecoming game 31-14. There it is, though. Symbiotic for the field with the team.
Well, it was a great victory for the Carmel Greyhounds. For the second week in a row, they came out and played explosive. I guess they only played explosive in the second half offensively. This time, it was against the excellent football team. Ben Davis finished the rest of the season, regular season, at 5-3. This being the largest margin of defeat for them. They lost an overtime game against Lawrence Central, and they lost a very tough game in the Hoosier Dome against Terre Haute North, I believe. So, Ben Davis is an excellent squad. Former CHS coach Dick Callahan is the head coach. Right now, from about the 40-yard line to the 10-yard line is a sea of humanity with the student body and both teams on the field.
That's a beautiful sight. Anybody that likes high school athletics just upset. Both teams are now, the fight's over, you know, the game is over, and they're renewing acquaintances. I can see Rasky, and for us, the 15 for them, batting out there, and it's just great to see. It's a beautiful sight.
I think that's one thing you mentioned, though, is that the war is over. Anybody who considers himself really considers himself an athlete, especially as you get higher up the level in high school and college and professional, they realize that when you're on the field, you don't like the opponent. When you're off the field, you're comrades because you are athletes, and they respect each other for the most part. Now, at times, you're going to find rivals, and they're not going to be too friendly to each other. But for the most part, as we saw here tonight, on the field, it was a very, very physical ball game tonight, a 31-14 victory for Carmel. But as the game ends, everyone's friendly, they're shaking hands, and it was a good contest tonight and a great win for Carmel.
Before Mr. Gregg gives us some statistical story here, I see the band marching off, and I think we'd be a little remiss if we didn't say how much effort and acknowledge the effort, the time, the dedication that our band has done. Those of us who see them every day or hear them every day, and that's the whole neighborhood, beginning at 7 a.m. every morning.
They give away every Saturday, basically. They're gone from 7 in the morning Saturday till 2 in the morning Sunday. They're performing sometimes.
That's right. Tomorrow they're going to Bedford, North Lawrence for the regional or semi-state, whatever, trying to get into the Hoosier Dome, and hopefully, because of what the band does tomorrow, Mr. Salcedo, their director, will be at the Hoosier Dome Monday morning making arrangements for that state final.
All right, we're going to take it down on the field to Yancey Deering for a final wrap-up. Most of the students are gone, but Yancey does have a special guest.
That's right, John. I'm talking to no other chicken. An anonymous teacher here at Carmel High School wants to say, anonymous chicken, what do you think about tonight's game?
Tonight's game was just super exciting for the fans and the players, and all of us out here had a great time. And if you're home listening by radio, you should have been here. You missed a great game. Don't miss the Hounds in action next Friday night in the sectional opener against Broad Ripple.
Okay, chicken, one other thing. You look a little warm in there. How's it feel?
About 150 degrees warm. Even on a cool night, this outfit's like a sauna bath. And you definitely feel heat, no doubt about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's a good way to lose some weight also sitting in that outfit. A couple quick words from trainer Bruce Gordon. Mark Towner went out of the game a little late in the fourth quarter. The problem he had was some bruised shoulders. He's okay. Craig Smith's problem was not a bloody nose. It was a cut upper eye. His left eye was cut. The word on Dylan, they just said he kind of got roughed up a little bit. He wanted to take him out, wanted to keep him safe. Have the doctors look at him tonight. He was really dizzy. Really felt kind of sick to the stomach. Besides that, he said there'll be no problem next week. So that pretty much wraps it up here from the field. Back to John, Mr. Graham, and Mr. Gregg up in the broadcast booth.
Sharp. Thanks, Yancey. As we mentioned, might want to run down those injuries real quickly again. Towner went out, but he's okay with a bruised shoulder. Sharp just had his eye cut, and it was bleeding. And Dylan had some stomach problems. As we mentioned, losing weight in a hot atmosphere. One person at Carmel High School, a very good friend of yours, and a very good friend with all the students, Mr. Eric Clark. How's he getting along? Before the operation, I noticed he lost all kinds of weight, and he looks great. When can we look forward to seeing Mr. Clark back?
Well, he might have been here for a little bit tonight. He was going to try to be. He's coming along great. He's got a new hip, and he's not in any pain from that. He's doing therapy with the right leg to get the muscle strength back. And my guess is in a week or so, he's going to be back here getting boys to ask the girls to the dances. And
can he still shake hands, though? Can he still give you those bone-crushing?
Oh, yeah. He can press your hand, the left handshake, and he can also, when he gets back here, keep us from messing up having places to have meetings and so forth.
One thing I'd like to mention is it was amazing the job that was put together by student government and the administration for homecoming tonight, because ordinarily a lot of that burden falls on the shoulders of big Mr. Eric Clark. And everybody had to do it without him this year.
Well, that's just what you think. He was calling us every day, making sure that we did this and did that, you know, so he was here whether he was here or not.
One other thing I'd like to say before we turn over to Mr. Gregg for some statistics. You've grown a beard as a former staffer, and big man Greg Shaheen peers through the window and points out about it. You're going to be in the Play of Fame. You might want to just describe your role in that as, well, it's kind of unusual to have a high school principal not only on the air for a broadcast, but also in a play.
The thespians of Carmel High School decided that we would do fame, and they also decided that they would ask members of the faculty to play the faculty in that School of Performing Arts in New York City, which is the story of fame, and I'm going to play the faculty music professor, Professor Swarovski. That's why the beard.
We're all looking forward to that, too. It should be a great presentation, as always, in the Carmel High School thespian group gets on stage at Carmel High School. Well, looking at the team statistics, at least the main ones, the Greyhounds ground out 263 yards on the ground, 195 of those in the second half alone, and 167 through the air, 330 total yards in this ball game against Ben Davis, which says total domination. You have to go down 7-6 at halftime. You got to remember that. The Greyhounds did dominate defensively, though, because rushing-wise, I have unofficially Ben Davis for a net of 6 yards in the ball game, rushing, 128 passing, but most of that came on that final 70-yard drive against the number 2 unit for the Carmel Greyhounds. Matter of fact, I think all that yardage, 70 of that 128 yards came in that one drive. So only 58 yards outside of that against the number 1 defense, which would mean they gave up only 64 total yards in the ball game. Passing-wise, Bill Padgett, 9 of 15, 167 yards. An excellent night, including the touchdown pass to Eric Gunderson. And Chris Combs for the Ben Davis Giants. He had a total of, 3, 6, 7, 9 of 21 in the ball game for the 128 yards and 1 touchdown, coming right at the end of the ball game with 9 seconds left. And Mike Grimm, the story of the game, unofficially, I've got him for 117 yards in the ball game, well over 100 yards, an outstanding game for the senior fullback for the Carmel Greyhounds. Mike Sharp will be up close to 100 yards, most of that coming on a 51-yard slant off the right side, and he will go into the books, I think, probably over 100 yards, because he had a 22-yard gallop for the final Greyhound score in the ball game. Scoring, Mike Grimm, a 1-yard run with 4:54 left in the second quarter. The kick was no good off a fumbled snap. It was 6-0. The Greyhounds led. Then with no time left in the ball game, the Greyhounds started to play with 3 seconds left in the half. It was a flanker reverse. They fumbled. Mike Ellison picked it up 85 yards with the ball into the Ben Davis end zone for the score with no time on the clock. And Steve Cloud added the extra point, and it was 7-6 Ben Davis at halftime, and a stunned Carmel football team and 4,000 or so fans here on the Greyhound side of the football field. Then in the third quarter, the Greyhounds took the opening kickoff of that make that the second possession in the third quarter, and they moved 37 yards in 6 plays. Mike Grimm getting his second score of the night. A run by Sharp was no good for the extra point try, and it was 12-7. The Greyhounds were hit for good in the ball game. Still in the third quarter, about 4 minutes later, Mike Grimm again, this time from 6 yards out, capping a 5-play, 65-yard drive. They tried again to run. Grimm shy of the end zone. It was 18-7, and that's how the third period ended. Then in the fourth period, they put 2 more scores on the board. driving from the start of the fourth period and down to the 5:47 mark where Bill Padgett hit Eric Gunderson for 28 yards and a touchdown. The pass to Mark Brady, no good again, and it was 24-7, 12 plays, 70 yards, Greyhound score. Mike Sharp got the final score on a 22-yard run, as we said. Lavant added the extra point. It was 31-7, and Ben Davis got that final score on a 3-yard pass to Joe Doyle from Chris Combs to end it out 31-14. That's the story of the ball game. Dale, I hope you enjoyed it. It's been fun, I know, for us up here.
Well, I really did enjoy it, Scott. John, I enjoyed it immensely. I'd like to say this. Compared to 15 years ago or so when I was doing this regularly, this radio station, you and your staff and the students have gotten so much more professional than we were back then. It's just a credit. You did a fantastic job, and I consider it a real privilege to be able to share in it tonight.
Well, we're glad to have you, and you did an excellent job, and we invite everybody to watch on CHTV Monday night. We want to hear replay of it. And you won't see you, but they'll be able to hear you throughout the ball game. And double-check your calls, and I'll guarantee they've been accurate, folks. Okay, for John Griffin and Dale Graham, this is Scott Beck saying once again the final score: Carmel 31, Ben Davis 14. A happy homecoming football. It's on to the sectional next Friday night. John Griffin and Yancey Doering will be on the air with the play-by-play and the color right here from the Greyhound football field. And that will start at 7 o'clock with Greyhound Sports Spotlight, followed by